First paragraph, I was like, am I reading a Frida McFadden book?
I think I got PTSD too.
Hi guys, I am back with yet another rant review video. Today we are going to be reviewing the thriller titled To His New Wife by the author Willow Rose. And guys, it was not the worst, but not the best. And we'll get into that. Before we dive in, if you don't know me, I'm Aurora. I make bookish content, lots of rant reviews, mostly about thrillers and horror. Actually, most of my book content centers around horror and thrillers. So if you're interested in that, stay along for the video, and if you like it, I would really appreciate a subscribe and maybe a like if you're feeling generous. But yeah, let's get into this review of To His New Wife. Starting off with the book description, his ex sent me a letter. I thought she was dead. When Emma married Benjamin, her life came as close to perfect as someone like her ever could have dreamed. No longer just working for his father, she was part of the family. Helping Benjamin move on from this tragic loss of his first wife hasn't always been easy. Tears, anniversaries, photos of her everywhere, but it brought them closer together. Even if his daughter still spends all her time shut up in her room. But then the first letter arrives at Emma's desk at work. A pristine white envelope with flawless calligraphy inside. To Benjamin's new wife, with love from the wife he killed. An addictive, jaw-dropping psychological thriller from multi-million copy bestseller Willow Rose for fans of Tess Gerritsen, Frida McFadden, and Geneva Rose. Yeah, you can tell why Frida McFadden would like this book, because it basically seems like she could have written it, and we'll get into why. So, like all my other rant reviews, I'm going to go chapter by chapter, give you the thoughts I had on the book at the time I was reading them. So a lot of them are predictions of what's to come. Obviously now I know what happened, but I'm just going to give you the thoughts I had while reading. And then at the end of going through the book, I will give you my overall review and thoughts on the entire thing. So yeah, let's get into it. We begin with the prologue. The very first paragraph begins, "The pasta water boils over, hissing as if it's trying to warn me that I'm about to be arrested. Right before they enter the house, I lunge for the pot with my left hand, burning my fingers as I grab the handle, a cutting knife still in my right." And already, first paragraph, I was like, am I reading a Frida McFadden book?
I think I got PTSD too.
Because the prologue opens with the character thinking they are about to be arrested, like exactly how the last book I reviewed by Frida opened. And I really thought I was getting a reprieve from Frida McFadden's style of writing. But honestly, as we go through it, I'll say multiple times, this reads like it could have been written by her. Like secretly her under a pen name. I digress for now. Let's just get into the book itself and take Frida out of the mind, as I try so often to do. So back to the prologue. Our main character, Emma, which doesn't say yet, but I'll just tell you, it's from Emma's point of view. She hears footsteps that aren't Benjamin's familiar stride because he's angry and they just got into a fight, which is why she got distracted from the boiling water. Then suddenly, two officers fill the kitchen doorway, and one of the detectives is Benjamin's friend, who then tells her she is under arrest for the murder of Alice Stone, Benjamin's ex-wife. And that's the prologue. Then we go into the before section in chapter 1. Chapter 1, Emma is getting her makeup done for her wedding that is in 3 hours. And we learn that her father-in-law must be pretty rich because he insisted on paying for her wedding dress, which costs more than her first car. And she is already worrying that she will not be perfect enough for Benjamin Stone. 5 years. That's how long I've watched Benjamin Stone from across conference rooms and holiday parties at Stone Advertising while I was working for his parents. 5 years of cataloging the way his hands move when he speaks, precise angle of his jawline, the rare laugh that transforms his serious face into something boyish and unguarded. 5 years of listening to office gossip about the brilliant pediatric surgeon married to the art curator who died tragically in a car accident. They were the perfect couple according to what people said, the perfect family. I never spoke to him beyond polite hellos, never imagined he would notice me. For years the grief was too heavy for him. It was a Tuesday when he first really saw me. I was presenting a campaign for a children's hospital. his hospital. He stayed after the meeting, asked questions about my research, thanked me for understanding what parents of sick children need to hear. Would you like to get coffee sometime? He had asked, and I nearly choked on my own surprise. After coffee came dinners, dinner became weekend plans. His hand found mine across restaurant tables, tentative at first, uncertain. When he kissed me the first time on my doorstep after our third date, I felt dizzy with disbelief. Benjamin Stone was kissing me. So already we're getting the trope where the FMC just can't believe this perfect man picked her, which, if you know, is a trope that I just hate so much. Plus, her mom sucks as well because she notes how her mother was shocked that such a perfect man would want to marry her. Rude. Okay. But anyway, Benjamin's 17-year-old daughter, Lily Stone, comes into the dressing room, and Lily has always unnerved Emma because she is the spitting image of her mother, Benjamin's ex-wife. Now, Lily talks about how perfect her parents' wedding was, and then about her dad gets fixated on things like her mom, and her mom said it was exhausting being the center of someone's world. She asks if Emma feels that way yet, like you can't breathe sometimes because he's just so present. Emma responds that she loves how attentive Benjamin is, but notes to herself that she also knows she isn't the center of his universe. Of course, Lily smiles, a perfect replica of polite interest. I'm sure it's different with you. Mom was probably just being dramatic. She had episodes like that, especially toward the end. Episodes? The word hangs between us, pregnant with implications that I'm afraid to explore. Is she trying to put me off of her father? She's never said anything so pointed to me before. Barely ever mentioned her mother. So, does Lily think her father's dangerous and is trying to warn Emma off? Or is she just trying to make Emma think so she can get rid of her? That's kind of the question that will be plaguing Emma's mind for most of the book, honestly. Before Lily leaves, she looks at Emma's red lipstick and points out that her father hates red lipstick, says it looks cheap, which throws off Emma because he complimented the same shade just last month. She shrugs it off, thinking Lily is just probably processing her grief and she is not going to let anything ruin this wedding day for her. She is just ecstatic that Benjamin chose her, and the wedding proceeds. The minister begins the ceremony. Words about love and commitment wash over me, familiar and strange all at once. I'm getting married to Benjamin Stone, the man I watched from afar for years, inventing reasons to be in meetings where he might appear, volunteering for projects at his father's agency that might put me in his path. I never planned for Alice to die, never wished for it, but when tragedy cleared a path to Benjamin, I didn't hesitate to take it. Does that make me terrible? The thought flashes through my mind, unwelcome and disquieting. This isn't opportunism. This is love. This is destiny. Getting a little creepy already, I'm not gonna lie, a bit stalkery vibes, but I feel like the author is just trying to subvert our expectations of who the real villain in this story is going to be. So Emma's father walks her down the aisle.
I just realized something.
Hold on, guys. I just noticed something. Okay. Her dad walks her down the aisle, which, with what we find out later, doesn't really make any sense why she would still be talking to her dad. No, that's actually insane now that I am reading back on it. How the hell is her dad the one walking her down the aisle? Well, just keep that in mind because with what we find out later, that was crazy. That's crazy. Anyway, her father walks her down the aisle, and Lily presents the rings and flinches when Benjamin takes them from her hands. This awkward moment passes, they marry, and are now Mr. and Mrs. Stone. Well, actually, she's keeping her last name, but she knows everyone is just going to refer to her as Mrs. Stone from now on anyway, because as we'll find out, this family is very influential to the whole area of Harbor Heights. It takes place in Florida. So she looks around the room at everyone's expressions right after they kiss, and Lily's face looks dark and calculated, but then she quickly rearranges her face into a smile. I am Mrs. Benjamin Stone now. I have everything I wanted. I know it might sound a little harsh, but the fact that I don't even have to deal with his ex-wife makes me happy. I know I could never compete with her, and I don't have to. everything is perfect. So why does Lily's expression follow me like a shadow, darkening the edges of my triumph as we walk toward our future together? Not the chapter ending with the main character asking themselves why they feel off when everything seems perfect. Like, I swear Frida McFadden could have written this. That's like her formula. Is the character questioning themselves after every thought that they had. It makes sense if you read the book. If you read any of her books, such as how she writes, and this book is very similar. Anyway, we go into chapter 2. Emma is at work at Stone Advertising and thinks, I am Mrs. Benjamin Stone, the doctor's wife, the boss's daughter-in-law, and I have more power than I could have ever imagined. Now, Emma, there is a difference between confident and a cocky ego. I think we might need to chill a little bit here. Just saying. As she is walking in, her coworker Marissa welcomes her back from her honeymoon in Tahiti, and Emma thinks about how Benjamin spent half the honeymoon on conference calls at the hospital, but she didn't mind because he was saving the world one child at a time. He's a doctor, by the way, if that's not clear by now, which is kind of confusing because Emma talked about waiting for Benjamin to notice her all these years. I know they had some overlap at family events where she would see Benjamin, but how often did she really see him if he's a doctor working at a hospital and she is working for his father at an advertising agency? How much overlap did they really have? Like, that she's had a crush on him for this long? I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy for thinking that makes not that much sense, but it just seems weird to me that he would be there all the time. Like, aren't doctors pretty busy, right? Like, very full schedules. Anyway, everyone congratulates her about the wedding as she makes her way to her desk, and she thinks about how advertising is something she knows, unlike being married to a man that she has dated for less than a year. And even though she just got thinking that she didn't mind all those work calls he took on the honeymoon, now she's thinking about it again and thinks, was a wife not a priority? So, like, which is it, girl? Did you mind him taking the calls or not? You're contradicting yourself, like, within the same few paragraphs, honestly. But there is a flower delivery for her from Benjamin, telling her welcome back and that he cannot wait to see her tonight. And we find out that Benjamin proposed to her after 6 weeks of dating. Like, holy love bombing. Goodness gracious.
I don't get it. You don't even know this guy.
Earth to Emma, Jen waves a hand in front of my face. Staff meeting in 10. Want me to move this botanical garden somewhere less distracting? I nod, unable to explain the sudden unease creeping up my spine. The flowers are beautiful. The note is loving. My husband wants me. So what if it all went a little fast? When you know, right? That's what Benjamin said. What's wrong with that? So, like, she's having all these second thoughts about their relationship now after just marrying him. I'm a little confused, girl. Why'd you marry him then? Anyway, she tells Jen, who is her assistant and best friend, I guess, though we never really see them acting like best friends. She tells her to put the flowers in the break room so everyone can enjoy it. I think it's so she can brag a little bit. But she then finds an unmarked envelope on her desk. She asks Jen if it was in the morning mail, but Jen says it wasn't there when she sorted it. I open the envelope, and the beautiful handwriting inside is clear as I tug the fancy paper out. As I read the first words, I can barely breathe. To Benjamin's new wife, with love from the wife he killed. And we go into chapter 3. Emma slips into a small conference room to privately read the letter from Alice Gramstone, and the letter reads, to Benjamin's new wife, with love from the wife he killed. If you're reading this, 2 things are true. I am dead, and you've just married my husband. I don't know your name yet as I write this, but I know you exist. You're probably smart, ambitious, and kind. You're probably eager to impress the family too. That was me years ago. I'm guessing that's you now. I wonder if you're wearing my ring. No, he wouldn't reuse it. Ben is too careful for that. He probably took you to Cartier, made a show of letting you choose, but guided you towards what he wanted all along. Did you feel special? Chosen? I did too. And Emma is shocked that Alice could know all these details, because he did in fact take her to Cartier and steered her towards an emerald cut diamond. The letter continues, and in my mind I hear a woman's voice, not mine, but what I imagine Alice sounded like. Refined, confident, dead. You imagine she sounded dead when she was alive? Okay. I met Benjamin at the opening of a gallery. He was the handsome doctor everyone wanted to meet. When he focused on me, it felt like standing in a spotlight, like I was the only person in the room. He called the next day, and the next. Sent flowers to my office, white roses and orchids, my favorite. How quickly he learned my preferences, my habits, my desires. Did he do that with you too? It feels magical, doesn't it? Like he can read your mind. Our courtship was a whirlwind. 3 months from our first date's proposal. When you know, he told me. He was so certain, so confident. I felt chosen, special, the luckiest woman alive. 10 months later, we got married. The first year was perfection. The dream home in Harbor Heights, vacations to exotic places. He would give me his complete attention, making me feel like the center of his universe. Did you get that too? The complete, undivided Benjamin Stone experience? Then I got pregnant with Lily. That's when things changed. It was subtle at first. The cooling, the distraction, more hospital calls, more emergencies. I understood he was saving children's lives. How could I compete? But it wasn't just time. It was the scrutiny, the questions. Where had I been? Who had I spoken to? Why was dinner late? Why was the house not perfect? After Lily was born, I became irrelevant. A caretaker for his child, a manager of his home. The flowers stopped coming. The compliments dried up. The sex became mechanical when it happened at all. I tried to leave once, packed a bag while he was at work. His father called within the hour. How did he know? Said he knew of a gallery, someone within his social circles. They were offering me a promotion, a raise, one I couldn't refuse. The stones stick together, Robert told me. And you're a stone now. I stayed for Lily, for my career, for the life I thought I deserved. A knock on the glass makes me jump. Jen points at her watch, mouths, meeting? I hold up one finger, just a minute, and turn back to the letter, heart hammering against my ribs. I told Ben I was concerned about my car. I told Ben I was concerned about the brakes feeling soft. He said I was being paranoid. I was going to my sister's in Gainesville. It's a long drive, and I wanted to make sure my car was okay. It was serviced at Mac's Auto Shop. If you're reading this, I never made it to my sister's. Be careful, new wife. The flowers will stop coming, the warmth will fade, and if you try to leave him, remember, I tried to. The letter ends there. I'm going to be sick. So, guys, what do you think? Is she gonna heed this warning or ignore it completely? My money is on ignore it completely.
But anyways, like and subscribe.
Emma wonders if this is some kind of cruel joke, maybe from Lily, who hates her dad's new wife, but then how would she know those details? And oh god, Benjamin insisted on taking Emma's car to the shop a few months ago at the same garage for routine maintenance. But before she can reflect on that further, Jen comes in to take her to a meeting, and as she's heading in, she decides she cannot tell anyone what she just read, which is obviously the best decision, right? We go into chapter 4. Emma gets home to the Morrison estate. They live in a big ass mansion, basically. And Lily is on the couch scrolling on her phone. Emma says hi, but Lily doesn't acknowledge her, and she apparently has hardly spoken to her since they got back from the honeymoon, and she thinks that when she first met her, the message was clear that she wasn't welcome. Emma was really hoping they would be a family, but this letter changes everything. Is Benjamin a killer? No. Couldn't be. He's a pediatric surgeon, for God's sake. This must be some kind of joke. But Benjamin gets home and embraces her, and she thinks, how can these be the hands of a killer? How can this warmth conceal such coldness? No, it's nonsense. Nothing but a cruel joke. Alice's death was an accident. In denial is a river in Egypt, girl. Lily interrupts their hug by clearing her throat and announces she is going to go shower, and Benjamin seems sad that Lily hasn't come around to Emma yet, but he goes to change, and Emma wonders if she is cooking dinner for a killer. Then we go into chapter 5. Emma and Benjamin are listening to Lily recount what happened in her debate class that day. Well, it's more like Benjamin's listening, and Emma is serving them dinner and pouring them water like a servant or a waitress. And Benjamin tells Lily that she has her mother's gift for rhetoric, and the mention of Alice forms a knot in Emma's stomach. Lily then comments on how her mom used to make mahi mahi differently and how Benjamin loved it. And Benjamin deflects this comment saying Emma's cooking is excellent, different, but excellent. They then start discussing Emma's work, and Lily looks upset or maybe regretful, Emma thinks. And there's a little crack in her armor when Lily asks Emma about this internship that Emma talked about getting her and asks her if she thinks there's really a chance she could get it. Emma says, of course, and offers to help her with the application, but then the vulnerability is gone when Lily says, no, I'll do it better myself, and leaves the table. I'm wondering if perhaps Lily is just too afraid to get close to Emma after losing her mom. That's my theory anyway. And then Emma continues to contemplate the letter after dinner. Who would accuse Benjamin of hurting Alice? The accusation feels blasphemous even in the privacy of my thoughts. This man who saves children's lives. He brought me chamomile tea with a splash of honey in bed this morning before leaving for surgery. Who looked at me across the dinner table tonight with such tender concern when Lily made her cutting remark. The same Benjamin who wept openly at Alice's memorial service, his voice breaking as he described the tragic brake failure that sent Alice's car over the guardrail that rainy night. The police report had been unambiguous. Mechanical failure, the detective told everyone. A terrible accident that Ben couldn't have prevented, even though he'd just had the car serviced the week before. Sometimes, Benjamin whispered to me months later when we first started dating, I still wake up thinking I could have saved her if I'd just taken her car in sooner or maybe to a different auto shop. How could they have missed this? That Benjamin? A murderer? Impossible. Who would pretend to be Alice and make such an accusation? To mess with me, to destroy my happiness. And then, as she's getting into bed with Benjamin, she considers showing him the letter, which would be super dumb, or burning it, which would also be super dumb. And he asks what's on her mind, but rather than mention the letter, she says that Lily seemed less hostile tonight, and Benjamin agrees. It seems like there is progress happening there. She then says she's been thinking about Alice, which makes Benjamin stiffen, but she goes on to say that she's thinking it must be so hard for Lily, seeing her try to cook her mother's recipes, and maybe she should find different ones. Then the convo comes to an end, and they go to bed, and we go into chapter 6, where Emma arrives at work the next day, and she is about to have her big presentation. As she makes her way to her desk, she hears comments about how tired she looks. Their voices follow me, snippets of conversation floating like debris. Looks exhausted. Honeymoon glow didn't last long. Stone men are intense, always have been. Jen intercepts me at my desk, coffee extended like a peace offering. You look like you need this more than I do. I accept the cup, the warmth seeping into my icy fingers. Thanks. Rough night. Trouble in paradise already, she grins, then stops when I don't return the smile. Kidding. Obviously. Obviously. My voice sounds hollow even to me. Like, damn, can a girl just be tired without it reflecting on her entire marriage? These are such weird comments, honestly. And like, how unrealistic that everyone would be talking about her. Like, she really is the star of her own world, I guess.
You think the world revolves around you, don't you?
But Lily is having trouble focusing on work. The letter is plaguing her thoughts, and she cuts off Jen when she's asking if she is alright. Guilt twists in my stomach as she walks away. Her coffee mug, the one with World's Okayest copywriter that we bought together at that street fair in Tampa, dangling from her index finger. Jen's been my work confidant for years. Through my promotion, through her disastrous Tinder phase, through the night she sobbed on my couch after her mother's diagnosis, another casualty of Alice's letter. My ability to look at my best friend in the eye without imagining her reaction if I told her my husband's dead wife is sending me mail. I haven't even had the chance to ask about Jason leaving her for his Peloton instructor. 2 weeks ago, we would have dissected every cruel text message over pad thai at our corner table at CM Palace. So yeah, maybe she's not the greatest friend. She then makes the best decision she ever could, which is to read the letter again right before her meeting, which just sets her more on edge, and all of her coworkers notice. How off is she acting that everyone's whispering about her? Like, she must look real cuckoo in there. I don't know. But Jen comes to tell her that the creative team is ready for her practice pitch, and she asks if she is okay when Emma drops a bunch of papers. And as they're picking the papers up, she thinks about confiding in Jen about the letters, but instead she just says she's getting used to married life still. Then she abruptly says she needs some air, and she rushes to a private restroom, and without realizing it, she then leaves the building entirely and goes to her car thinking no one will question her leaving since it's about to be lunchtime anyway. In her car, she thinks about how Benjamin just had this car serviced, and she checks her brakes. She decides they seem fine and she drives to Mac's Auto Shop where Alice's car was serviced before she died. She heads inside and she talks to the first employee she sees. "I need to ask about a car you serviced, not recently, 5 years ago." He squints, assessing my tailored dress and heels. "Records office is closed for lunch. Marge will be back at 1 if you want to come back." I can't wait that long. The desperation in my voice must register because his expression shifts. "What's the name? I'll see what I remember, but no promises." "Stone. Alice Stone." Recognition flickers across his face. Dr. Stone's first wife? The one who died in that accident up by Crystal River? My stomach clenches. Yes, that's her. He shakes his head, calls over his shoulder. "Hey, Anton. Lady here asking about the Stone woman's car? The one that went off the bridge?" A heavy-set man emerges from behind a tool cabinet, wiping his hands on shop towel. His face is weathered, eyes sharp beneath bushy brows. "Why are you asking about that?" His accent is Eastern European, words clipped and precise. Guys, I'm not gonna try to recreate the accent, okay? That would just end poorly. What am I? A suspicious second wife? An amateur detective? A potential next victim? I'm trying to understand what happened. For the family. The guy with the name Anton on his chest studies me, gaze traveling from my face to my left hand, where my wedding ring catches the fluorescent light. Understanding dawns in his eyes. "You're the new Mrs. Stone." It's not a question. I don't deny it. "We checked the entire car." He tosses the towel onto a workbench. "Nothing wrong with it." "Nothing with the brakes?" I press. "No problem with the brakes." He shakes his head empathetically. "I remember because after accident, police ask same questions." My heart pounds against my ribs. "But there was something wrong with her brakes. That's what caused the accident." Anton shrugs. "Not our work. Maybe she take a car somewhere else after?" "Or maybe someone tampered with them," I say, the words slipping out before I can stop them. The shop falls silent. Even the rock music seems to fade. The first mechanic shifts uncomfortably. "Look, lady, we don't want any trouble. That was a tragedy, what happened to Mrs. Stone, but we only did what was on the work order. We checked her car like they asked, checked the engine and the brakes. Everything was fine, nothing else." Anton nods in agreement. "Dr. Stone bring car himself. Wait while we work. Take a car after. That's all." My breath catches. "Benjamin brought the car in? Not Alice?" "Dr. Stone," Anton confirms. "He say wife too busy. He handle it." The world tilts slightly. "When was this exactly?" Anton confers briefly with the other mechanic in hushed tones. 3 days before accident. I remember because police very interested in this detail. "Thank you," the words come out as I whisper. I turn, needing air, needing space to process this information. "Mrs. Stone," Anton calls after me. "Police investigate very thorough. If something wrong, they find. It was an accident. No one could have prevented it. That's what they said. Now you let it go." But instead of letting it go, she pulls out her phone and searches Alice Stone death Tampa accident, and dozens of results appear. They all confirm the same details: brake failure, no witnesses, tragic accident, and this is exactly what Ben told her, but also exactly what Alice predicted in her letter. And she wonders if instead of asking if Ben killed Alice, she should be asking who is trying to make her believe that he did. Who benefits from planting these doubts? Who wants to drive a wedge between us? The answer floats to the surface of my mind, like a dark shape beneath ice. I try to push it down, but it rises anyway. Lily. Classic blame the stepdaughter route. We go into chapter 7. Emma pulls back up to work and she is 37 minutes late to the presentation. And she has never been late to a client's meeting before, so this is not looking good. She rushes inside, but Jen intercepts her, saying they finished the meeting a few minutes ago and Robert ended up doing the pitch himself, and he asked to see her the minute she got back. So she heads to her father-in-law's office and wonders how she is going to explain herself. He tells her to come in. She starts apologizing profusely, but he cuts her off, saying that he is not interested in excuses, and explains how disappointed the Hartmans were since they specifically requested her based on her previous campaigns. He asks what the emergency was, and she says it was personal.
It is what it is, Daddy-o.
Personal, he repeats, the word like it's foreign to him. More important than your professional responsibilities, than your commitment to this agency, to the Stone family business. The Stone family business. not just the agency, but the entire enterprise of being a stone, of protecting the family name, its reputation. It won't happen again, I promise, voice steadier than I feel. No, Robert stands now, his full height imposing even across the desk. It won't, because if it does, Emma, marriage to my son won't protect your position here. Something flickers across his face before he continues. Alice understood the expectations that come with being a stone, the commitment to excellence, to family. He straightens his tie, a nervous gesture at odds with his controlled tone. I had hoped you'd understood them too.
Careful, Daddy.
Damn, she misses one meeting in 5 years and you threaten to fire her? Like, that's actually insane, honestly. Also, comparing her to Alice is weird as fuck, and she should see that as a glaring red flag about this family. But he tells her that the Hartmans are going to give them another chance, and the presentation is rescheduled for Monday, which I found confusing because Jen said that Robert did the presentation himself, but now he's saying it's rescheduled. It's a very minor continuity error, but still kind of annoying. Anyway, before Emma leaves the office, he stops her and says that Ben told him that she was acting weird last night and asking questions about Alice. First of all, I don't recall her asking any questions about Alice, just saying that maybe she should make different recipes than Alice makes. Second of all, why is Benjamin telling his father all of this? Is there no privacy between couples? Like, crazy. Anyway, Emma explains that she was just trying to understand Lily better to help her adjust. Robert studies me, his gaze eerily like his son's, while Benjamin is assessing a difficult case. Some subjects are better left alone, for everyone's sake. The warning in his tone is unmistakable. Focus on your future with Benjamin, not his past with Alice. Yet you're the one who keeps bringing Alice up. I force a smile, grateful for the door under my hand, support when my knees want to buckle. Of course, you're right. He nods once, returning to his work. Conversation over, threat delivered. No, girl, he's not right at all. This is a weird situation. It's weird. It's weird to compare her to Alice and then tell her to not compare herself to Alice? What? But she heads back to her office thinking that whoever wrote this letter got what they wanted, upset her career, her relationship with her father-in-law, and with her husband. And we go into chapter 8. That same day, they pull up to Robert's house for a family dinner, and she thinks about how Ben's parents usually love her, maybe even more than Ben, but now she disappointed them. Ben reassures her that his dad will get over it, but she also didn't tell Ben why she was late to the meeting, just that she lost track of time. Everything will be fine. The platitude hangs between us, absurd in its inadequacy. It feels like nothing will ever be fine again. It's like I can't snap out of this feeling of dread. 2 days ago, everything was perfect, but now it all seems to have been a lie. Was this what the sender of the letter wanted? To see me break apart? I think about Lily and the insane thought in my head that she'd want to upset me. I've locked it away ever since I left the office, pushing the idea of her penning the letter as I'd redone my makeup. No, I need to ignore this. She would never pretend to be her own dead mother. And then they take the elevator up to his parents' penthouse. She's looking at the place. It's all garish and with gold fixtures and all these things that she says, this isn't just luxury, it's the kind of calculated opulence that appears in Architectural Digest, not just because it's unique, but because it embodies what new money looks like in Florida. Expansive, exposed, yet somehow impenetrable. I don't know, sounds kind of just tacky to me, I'm not gonna lie. The penthouse also has gilt frames with pictures of all the Stones, including Alice. Margaret, Benjamin's mother, welcomes them in while also admonishing Emma for messing up the Hartman presentation, though in a seemingly nice way. And then Robert comes out and gives her a curt nod instead of his usual warm welcome. Lily arrives, having driven herself in the BMW that her grandparents gifted her, and Emma realizes that Lily's hair is styled exactly like Alice's in the portrait on the wall. And Margaret compliments her dress, and Lily thanks her, saying it was her mom's. The ghost of Alice thickens in the air between us. I catch Benjamin's expression, a flash of surprise, then pain, then careful neutrality. And yeah, you know what? It is tough work being the perfect, beautiful, dead wife's replacement.
And just as I lost my wife, I found my replacement wife.
She watches the family start talking and thinks that there really is no space for her here, and she wonders if this was all Lily's plan to exclude her and make her miserable, maybe even make her fear Benjamin. She doesn't want to believe the letter was from her, but it is odd that she received it at the same time that Lily's references to her mother turned up a notch. And they all sit for dinner, and Emma realizes for the first time that the way they are seated seems deliberate, with her back to the doorway, unable to see who might enter, and being directly in Robert and Margaret's line of sight. And she feels this is designed for observation or even interrogation. And then the maid Maria comes in to pour them all water. Notice the parallel how Emma was serving Ben and Lily earlier, just like this maid is. I don't know. Anyway, Emma wonders if the maid noticed anything strange before Alice died. Emma, Robert begins, sitting down his fork with surgical precision. Benjamin tells me you're preparing to rescue the Hartman pitch on Monday. Not asking if I'm prepared, telling me I'd better be. I swallow a bite that suddenly tastes like nothing. Yes, everything's ready. The creative team has been working overtime to refine the concept. The concept wasn't the problem, Robert says, cutting a perfect portion of his tearing. The problem was the absence of leadership. Your absence, specifically. First of all, Benjamin told him this when? Because this is the same day. Like, they must just always be talking about Emma. If I was her, I'd personally be like, nah, you guys are too enmeshed. Like, count me out here. And second of all, I fear we are just beating a dead horse here. She knows she screwed up by missing the meeting. Can we just drop it already? No, we can't apparently, because Robert goes on to say there were more mess ups than just her missing this meeting. And Ben defends her, saying she's readjusting to their new life together, since marriage, moving in, becoming a stepmother are all really big changes. But Emma does not appreciate this defense. She thinks it just is infantilizing. Lily then chimes in with the helpful note that her mom never let her personal life affect her work, and she was promoted 6 months after Lily was born and knew how to balance everything. Robert agrees, saying your mother was exceptional. She understood what it meant to be a stone. So yeah, if I was Emma, this right here, this is where I would walk out. Because you're not going to disrespect me in front of my face like that. Like, hello. Stop comparing me to this man's ex-wife. God. We expected more from you, Emma, Robert continues, cutting his meat with precise, even strokes, especially given your special connection to the family. The pause before special turns the word into something else entirely, a euphemism for nepotism, a reminder that I owe my position, perhaps even my continued employment, to my relationship with Benjamin. Emma has been with the agency for 5 years, Benjamin says, a hint of irritation finally entered in his voice. She earned her position long before we were involved. Wait, you just realized that makes the timeline not make sense. She's been with the agency for 5 years, but she's been crushing on Benjamin like while he was married to Alice. Alice died 5 years ago. This is conflicting. I don't like that. She earned her position long before we were involved. But did I? The doubt creeps in, unwelcome but persistent. Would I be in my position at 31 without the Stone name attached to mine? Without Robert's influence? Without Benjamin's interest? Of course she did, Margaret assumes, though her smile suggests otherwise. Emma's always been talented. That's why we have such high expectations. The word we again. The royal we. The family we. The we that excludes me even while discussing me. And yuck, this family sucks, guys. Give the girl a break. Anyway, Emma just says she understands the expectations and will prove herself. How about you just escape this family? How about that?
Now run, girl. Run!
You would think the conversation would be done after that, but no, Robert goes on to say that failure is not an option, which then makes her wonder what happened to those who failed the Stones, and what happened to Alice when she tried to leave. Did she ask the wrong questions or discover family secrets? She wonders if Robert knows she went to Mac's auto shop and asked about Alice. And then dinner is finished and dessert is served. Margaret watches my face as the server places a slice before me, her eyes never leaving mine as she announces, Alice's lemon tart, a family favorite. I had Mrs. Winter make it especially for tonight. I swear this family wants Emma to crash out. Because you might as well tell her straight up that she does not belong. And then they all go on and talk about how amazing of a baker Alice was, reminiscing on memories of her desserts. And Margaret notices Emma's discomfort and tells her they would love to get some of her recipes. She is sure she has some that are just as excellent. And she then goes on to say that she thinks Emma should be in charge of planning Margaret's birthday in December. Ben tries to say that Emma has too much on her plate already. Emma says she would love to help. Also, this never comes up again. Ever. The meal wraps up, they say their goodbyes, of course with a reminder from Robert that the meeting on Monday better be perfect, and they drive home. And in the car, Emma tells Ben how it seems they all really miss Alice, and he says, of course they do, but that doesn't mean they can't care about you too. And she knows he is right, that they always liked her, which I'm not seeing much proof of, but apparently they have, and the letter is just messing with her mind, and she needs to get to the bottom of it if she has any hope of forgetting about what it said. And we go into chapter 9. She heads into work, and everyone is of course talking about her. She is the center of the universe after all, guys. She thinks about how she spent the weekend making Lily's favorite brownies, which she later found in the trash. And then she meets up with her creative partner Ryan, and he tells her that Robert asked him to see if she was ready for the meeting, which Emma takes as a slight because Robert always comes straight to her. And on her desk is another white envelope with no postmark addressed to her. This is just perfect timing. If I was her, I'm not opening this until after the pitch is over, but Emma isn't like me. She opens it right away. But all she reads is "Dear New Wife" before Jessica from HR appears asking her to sign some updated forms after she runs to the restroom 10 minutes before their meeting with Robert, and she reads the letter. "Dear New Wife, we haven't met, but I feel I know you already. You're sleeping in my bed now, using my bathroom mirror, perhaps even wearing my robe when the nights get cool. That's not an accusation, just a statement of fact. Life continues after death. Spaces get filled. I understand this better than most. I'm writing to share a story that keeps replaying in my mind, something about memory, how it preserves certain moments in perfect detail while others fade completely. This particular memory refuses to fade, and I think perhaps it's because it wasn't meant for me alone. It was our second anniversary when Ben gave me the charm necklace. Beautiful thing. Silver links holding 6 delicate charms, each with its own story. We were in our bedroom. I wonder if it's your bedroom now, with morning light streaming through the windows. Ben had that look he gets when he's planned something perfectly. You've seen it, I'm sure. That slight smile that appears only at the corners of his mouth. The way his eyes follow your reaction to ensure you're appropriately appreciative. Placed the necklace on my chest while closing it behind my neck, the silver cool against my skin. Each charm represents something about us, he said, his fingers brushing mine as he pointed to them one by one. Paintbrush for the night we met at your gallery and for your art. A miniature book for reading Lily bedtime stories together. A sailboat for our trip to the Keys. A house for our home. Duh. A rose for the flowers I bring you every Friday, and then the 6th charm, a small silver heart, a locket, he told me, though it was sealed shut when he presented it. This one's special, he said, his voice dropping to that intimate tone he uses when he wants my complete attention. It holds a secret, something just for us. I tried to open it, of course. The little heart felt warm compared to the other charms, as if it contained something alive, but Ben stopped me, his fingers closing around mine with that gentle, firm grip he uses in moments of control disguised as affection. Not yet, he said, some other time. I wore the necklace every day, the charms jingling with every movement, the sealed heart resting against my chest. I couldn't stop thinking about what might be inside. A tiny photo, a lock of Lily's baby hair, perhaps a miniature love note. I'm looking right away when he's not with me. But at dinner one night, a reservation at Maison Bleu, the same hushed corner where we always sat at, the locket wasn't there. I felt it halfway through the chilled oyster appetizer, my throat tightening as I touched the empty chain at my collarbone. Ben's face paled. He rifled under the table, flagged down the waiter to score the coat check, and even called our sitter to sweep through the nursery, the closet, the car. Each desperate search ended the same. Nothing. I'm so sorry, he whispered, voice folding in on itself as he reached for my hand. I must have clipped it poorly. We'll find it, or replace it. I believed him. Why wouldn't I? His regret felt genuine. But 3 days later, while shuffling papers in his desk drawer, I discovered a small velvet pouch stashed behind his passport. Inside lay the locket, its silver heart glinting, untouched, not lost, reclaimed. My breath caught at a tiny hole drilled into the clasp, almost invisible. I pried it open and found a micro SD card. My blood ran cold as I slid it into my laptop. Bedroom shadows, my sleeping face, my hair splayed across the pillow. Then a sound made me raise my head, and there he was looking at me, smiling. He was recording my every move, a small hidden camera in my locket. So, was the locket hiding a little hidden camera or an SD card? I'm really confused here. A small hidden camera in my locket, making sure he knew everything I was doing all the time. I never told him I'd found it. Instead, I mapped every silent corner of his house, where the cameras peeked from the crown molding, where the microphones lay behind picture frames. So there's cameras in the house and a camera in her locket. That's literally what it says. But there's also an SD card in her locket. I'm just now realizing, reading this again, how little sense this makes. I mapped every silent corner of his house, where the cameras peeked from crown molding, where the microphones lay behind picture frames. I tracked his late night drives, the calls he took in the dark of his car. A month later, the necklace he'd given me, the one I wore every day, vanished. This time, he said I'd left it at the gym. He'd get me a new one. He never did. Another loss, another hollow apology, another promise. Perhaps you felt it too. His attention that isn't love, but something far colder, something that watches you sleep, or maybe you're still in that first dizzying stage where his intrusion feels like devotion. Either way, I wanted you to have this. Use it as you will, with what's left of my bravery. Alice. I wanted you to have this, but gives her nothing. This whole thing doesn't make sense to me, like, even after finishing the book. Why would he give her the necklace with the camera or SD card or both hidden in the locket and then suddenly make it go missing? Like, I really can't figure out what his reasoning would be. But Emma is shaken by the letter and she heads to the meeting. And we go to chapter 10. She can't focus on the pitch with these letters hanging over her head, and she is fumbling in front of Robert. And he tells her that these figures don't match with what she sent the day before. She says she updated them today based on the latest social media analytics. She then, of course, spills water all over her notes, and Robert suggests they just reschedule the meeting for when she is more prepared, and that she should leave whatever is distracting her at home from now on. She heads to her desk, then overhearing the whispers about how shitty of a job she's doing, and there's no relief getting to her desk because it's all an open floor plan, so there's no privacy. But yeah, she's super disappointed in herself, and she thinks about calling Ben for comfort and to tell him about the letters, but knows he will angrily deny it if she even suggests Lily is involved. I mean, maybe you could just tell him about the letters without suggesting Lily is involved, which, like, I wouldn't tell him about the letters, but still, I'm just thinking, like, her perspective. And further proof of how much her life is falling apart is her chipped nail polish, which she always has pristine and perfect. It's because she's been picking at it. So she reaches into her desk drawer for her emergency nail polish. Her fingers brush against the letter, but she swears she left it in her purse. Is she losing her mind? She leaves, telling Ryan she is taking a long lunch, and she is determined to find out if Lily has anything to do with these letters. Yeah, this won't worsen their already terrible relationship at all. We go to chapter 11. She gets home with the plan to confront Lily, albeit carefully and nicely, but no one is home. Ben calls and says he'll be late, and Lily never shows up before she goes to bed. Then she wakes up at 7 a.m. and Ben is still gone, having left early for surgery, and she has texts from Jen. My phone buzzes again in my palm. Jen, 3 texts in a row. Have you seen this? Call me ASAP. Are you okay? Below her messages, more of the same from colleagues, friends, even my college roommate I haven't spoken to since the wedding. All with the same link, all with the same frantic tone. My thumb hovers over the link, a TikTok video. My heart stutters as I click it, screen brightness stabbing my eyes in the dim bedroom. The app loads, and a young woman's face fills my screen. Dark eyes staring intently at the camera, shoulder-length black hair, professional lighting. This is no amateur production. I'm Mira Patel, and this is part 1 of The Doctor's Wives. Her voice is measured, authoritative. 5 years ago, Alice Stone died when her car plunged off the Crystal River Bridge. The official report cited brake failure, a tragic accident that left renowned pediatric surgeon Dr. Benjamin Stone a grieving widow and a single father. My stomach twists. The woman, Mira, holds up a photo of Benjamin in his white coat, smiling that perfect smile that first drew me to him. 5 weeks ago, Dr. Stone remarried. A photo of us on our wedding day appears. Where did she get that? It wasn't in the papers. Emma Caldwell, a rising star at his father's advertising agency. A perfect Hollywood ending. Her expression shifts, hardens. Except there's nothing perfect about Dr. Stone's story. I spent months investigating Alice Stone's death, speaking with sources close to the family, and what I've uncovered is disturbing. I sit up straight, fully awake now. The sheets pull around my waist as I grip the phone tighter. Multiple sources confirm Dr. Stone displayed controlling behavior throughout his marriage to Alice. He monitored her whereabouts, isolated her from friends, and undermined her confidence through constant criticism. My free hand finds my throat, resting against my racing pulse. A former colleague of Alice's described an incident 6 months before her death. She came to work with sunglasses on. When she took them off in the bathroom, I saw the bruise around her eye. She claimed she walked into a closet door, but her hands were shaking when she said it. "No," I whispered to the empty room. "That's not." He wouldn't. Mira's face is solemn now. 3 days before her death, Alice told a friend she was planning to leave Benjamin. That same day, Dr. Stone personally took her car to be serviced. 3 days later, those brakes failed, and Alice Stone was dead. The view counter at the bottom of the screen reads 2.7 million. I scroll to the comments, fingers trembling. This man operates on children. Terrifying. Someone check on the new wife. At Harbor Heights Medical, why is this man still employed? Stone family money covering up murder. Classic. Thousands of comments, tens of thousands of shares, hashtags forming, hashtag justice for Alice, hashtag the real Dr. Stone, hashtag check the brakes. My thumb moves frantically, searching for Mira Patel's profile, more videos, a series each with millions of views. Part 2 posted 3 hours ago. I click, heart pounding against my ribs like it's trying to escape. Welcome back to The Doctor's Wives. Today we're looking deeper into the Stone family dynamics and how they may have enabled Dr. Benjamin Stone's behavior. She talks about Robert and Margaret, about their influence in Tampa, about how the initial police investigation was led by Detective Lucas Ramirez, who golfed regularly with Robert and is a close friend of Benjamin, about how Harbor Heights Medical Center, where Benjamin performs his miracle surgeries, receives substantial donations from Stone Family Foundations. The text appears on my screen, interrupting the video. Benjamin, in surgery until noon. Everything okay? Nope, everything is not okay. She calls Ben. No answer. She checks the third video, which features a blurred out feminine silhouette that claims to be a patient's mother saying, "He was like a different person. The charm vanished. I've never been so afraid of someone in a white coat." The comments are flooded with death threats and people calling for him to lose his medical license. She goes to the bathroom and barfs. Jen texts again, telling her that Robert called an emergency meeting for 8 a.m. and everyone is saying it's about the videos. She dresses quickly, but then gets a call from Lily's school, and we go into chapter 12. Emma pulls up to St. Catherine's Academy, Lily's school, after the principal called to tell her that there has been an incident. Emma no longer thinks Lily has anything to do with this, as she wouldn't do this to her father. She gets to the principal's office, who informs Emma that when Lily arrived at school, several students made inappropriate comments to her about the TikTok situation. Social media encourages a certain boldness, Dr. Hauer said, the understatement almost laughable in its inadequacy. When Lily reacted, "I punched Trevor Malcolm in his smug face," Lily interrupts, voice flat and cold, "after he asked if my dad killed my mom to be with you." And good for her. Good for her. The principal says that given the circumstances, she isn't going to take disciplinary action, but that Lily should probably go home for the remainder of the day, and they get her things and head to their cars. "We'll figure this out, Lily," I finally say as she starts the engine. "Your dad would never hurt anyone. These videos, they're lies. Someone with an agenda trying to..." "You don't know anything about my dad," she cuts in, voice low and dangerous. "Or my mom." I sigh and look at her, painfully aware of watching eyes around us. "I know your father loves you more than anything. I know he's a brilliant surgeon who saves children's lives.
We get it.
I know you know what he wants you to know." She stares out the window, profile sharp against the bright day. "Just like my mom did." Her words send ice through my veins. "What does that mean, Lily?" She doesn't answer, just taps furiously at her phone, the screen angled away from me. I catch glimpses, TikTok's distinctive interface, message notifications popping up, her thumb scrolling rapidly through the comments. "Who are you texting?" I ask, trying to keep my voice casual and failing miserably. "None of your business." I move closer and glance over, catching sight of a notification banner before she can angle the phone away. "Mira Patel commented on your message." My heart stutters. "Lily, do you know anything about these videos?" Her eyes meet mine for the first time, cold and challenging. What if I do? I stare at her in disbelief. These videos are destroying your father's reputation, his career, our lives. Maybe they're just exposing the truth. She turns back to her phone, fingers flying over the screen. Maybe that's what my mom would want. Lily remains engrossed in her phone, periodically angling it further from my view. I stand there, mind racing with implications. Do you mind? She says, signaling that she wants to close the door and drive away. I pull back and she slams the door. Then she rolls down the window and looks at me, her expression unreadable. You know what Trevor said after he asked if Dad killed Mom to be with you? Her voice is eerily calm. He said I should watch my background, both of you now, because if Dad could do it once. She lets the sentence hang unfinished, then rolls the window back up before I can respond, taking off without looking back. Chapter 13, and at home, Lily has locked herself in her bedroom and Benjamin isn't answering any calls since he is still in surgery. He finally gets home at 8 o'clock and he hasn't heard about the videos at all. She shows him the videos and tells him even the local news picked it up. He takes the phone from my hand, staring at Mira's image with something between shock and recognition. This can't be happening, he whispers. You know her? The question comes out sharper than I intended. She interviewed me about a year ago. He looks up eyes wide. A student journalist doing a piece on pediatric surgery. She seemed intense, asked a lot of personal questions about how I balanced work and being a single father. I thought it was odd, but harmless. And Emma thinks that he looks so devastated that he couldn't have possibly done this. And this is where I thought maybe Emma was the one who murdered his wife to get Ben, but I wasn't sure how that would work with the letters, so I could definitely be wrong. But yeah, they settle on the couch to watch the rest of the TikToks, which include Mira interviewing Anton from the auto shop, and she tells Ben that these videos are convincing and people will think it's true. She tells him about what happened at Lily's school, and he's like, why didn't you call me? And she's like, I tried to 17 times. And he wants to talk to Lily now to tell her that none of it is true, but Emma says it's probably best to give her some space for the night. He agrees and goes to call his attorney, and Emma thinks that he seems nothing like the calculated killer that Mira Patel describes. But Alice's letters warned her about his ability to appear sincere. Plus, Lily seems to think he is capable of this too, but what if that's just a game to make Emma leave him so that she can have her father all alone again? We go to chapter 14. She gets a call from Ryan informing her that they would like her to take a sabbatical paid until this all blows over. And Emma is honestly relieved because she cannot handle to see her coworkers' looks and hear their comments right now. And after the phone call, she decides to snoop around Lily's room. She finds stationery that's the same as the letter she is receiving, and she thinks that this has all been orchestrated by Lily. She wonders if she is behind the videos too, when she gets a text from a coworker with the newest TikTok, and this video dissects all of Ben's and Alice's body language and their photos together, and body language experts have identified controlling and abusive body language from Ben and stress and fear from Alice. Our source provided these images along with detailed accounts of Dr. Stone's controlling behaviors, Mira continues. She turns slightly as if speaking to someone off camera. What else should we highlight here? A voice responds, just barely audible, a woman's voice, familiar in a way that makes my skin prickle. I increase the volume, pressing my phone closer to my ear. The hospital Christmas party photo, the off-camera voice suggests, clearing her throat before continuing, where he's gripping her arm. That throat clearing, that specific cadence, I know that voice. Rachel. My sister. The sister I haven't spoken to in almost a year. The sister who warned me about controlling men when Benjamin and I started dating. The sister who refused to attend our wedding and whose last words to me were, "You never learn, Emma. You're walking into another trap." So, thinking it's her sister, Emma replays the video, and a mirror on the wall catches a partial reflection of Rachel where she can make out the purple ribbon that she always wears on her lapel that is a symbol for domestic violence survivors, and she works with domestic violence survivors. You're telling me you didn't heed your sister's warnings about Ben when she literally works with domestic violence survivors? Kinda crazy, I cannot lie. But her sister's betrayal enrages her, and she wants to call her and confront her about why she is trying to ruin her life. Chapter 15, Emma arrives at a cafe that no one in Harbor Heights would be caught dead at, and she thinks this is perfect since there won't be any witnesses to her confrontation with her sister. She gets a text from Ben saying things went good with the hospital PR team and asks her how her day is going. She says she's working on the Hartman case despite her being on sabbatical, which she hasn't told Ben yet. Though with how much Ben talks to his dad, I'm surprised he doesn't already know, honestly. Rachel arrives, and she has apparently been asking to meet with Emma for months, but Emma has been ignoring all her calls since she refused to attend her wedding. My wedding ring catches on a groove in the table as I spin it around my finger, and suddenly I'm 7 again, curled into a ball inside the hallway linen closet, counting my breasts in the musty darkness, the click of the lock, the endless waiting, Rachel's voice finally whispering through the door. It's me, Emmy. He's asleep now. Her small fingers sliding the bobby pin into the lock, her arms pulling me into the light, the smell of dust in her hair as she held me. So this is alluding to their dad being abusive, which again, when I look back on it in the beginning, when her dad is walking her down the aisle, that's insane. That's insane.
She has a point.
I would think she would have no contact with her dad. She also never mentions talking to her dad at all again in the entire book, so just inconsistent. Anyway, she asks Rachel why she is trying to ruin her life, and Rachel says she's trying to save it, show her the facts about Ben that she could see if she wasn't so dead set on repeating her pattern. Rachel asks why she came then. I came to understand why my own sister would betray me like this. My voice cracks, a hairline fracture in my carefully constructed composure, without even talking to me first, without giving me a chance to explain. Explain what? She cuts me off. Explain how Benjamin Stone is different than David, how this controlling, manipulative man is somehow not like the last controlling, manipulative man you attached yourself to, David, my ex. The relationship Rachel warned me about, the one that ended with a restraining order and 6 months of therapy, the wound she knows exactly how to reopen. Ben isn't David, I wrap my arms around myself, suddenly cold despite the cafe's stuffy air. He's a respected surgeon. He saves children's lives. He isolated Alice from her friends. Rachel slides the folder toward me, flipping it open to reveal neatly organized documents. He monitored her spending. He convinced her she was unstable, paranoid, unfit to make decisions. All the things David did indeed do to me. So yeah, Rachel helped Emma escape David, which makes her ignoring Rachel's warnings about Ben just even way more insane.
God, I'm losing my mind.
But yeah, Rachel presents her with police reports and medical records that show Alice had 3 separate ER visits in the last year of their marriage, always at different hospitals, which is a classic sign of an abuser who knows how to work the system. And we get a lot of information here, so I'm just going to read out the rest of the chapter. This doesn't prove anything. I pushed the folder away. Accidents happen. People fall. Alice had history of what, Emma? What did Benjamin tell you about her? That she was clumsy, unstable, prone to exaggeration? Rachel leans forward, her gray eyes boring into mine over the rim of her chipped mug of black coffee. She's ordered the truck stop special, biscuits and sausage gravy, creamy grits, fried eggs, and bacon, while my untouched avocado toast sits between us like class divide. The waitress refills Rachel's cup for the 3rd time, not bothering to ask if I want more water. Those are the stories abusers tell about their victims. I've heard them 1,000 times. You don't know him. My hands clench into fists beneath the table, manicured nails digging into my palms. You've never even met him. I've interviewed 15 people who knew him and Alice, her former housekeeper, her colleagues, her therapist. Rachel shovels a forkful of grits into her mouth and my jaw hits the floor. How long has she been looking into him? She chews deliberately, mouth half open, reminding me of Sunday mornings in our childhood trailer when Dad was gone and we'd split a box of powdered donuts, before she became the crusading journalist who couldn't stomach my selling out to Benjamin's world, the world of the rich. Her therapist spoke to, that's a violation of not about sessions, about what she observed at the couples counseling Ben insisted on. Isn't that about sessions, though? whatever. How he dominated conversations, contradicted Alice, charmed the therapist into seeing his side. Rachel taps the folder. It's all here. The pattern is textbook. My chest tightens. So you decided to be judge and jury to help this internet vulture destroy his reputation based on circumstantial evidence? Mira is giving voice to a woman who can no longer speak for herself. Rachel's expression hardens. Someone needs to. The police didn't. The medical examiners didn't. His family certainly didn't. He loved Alice. The words feel hollow even as I say them. He mourns her every day. He controls her narrative every day. Rachel corrects, just like he's controlling yours now. He rushes to my face. You don't know anything about my marriage. I know you quit the Johnson account because Benjamin thought it took too much of your time. I know you changed your hair because you preferred it long. I know you've stopped wearing those silver earrings Mom gave you because he said they were tacky. Each example lands like a slap. How does she know these details? Who has been watching me, reporting back? You're spying on me? My voice rises, drawing glances from the few other patrons. I'm paying attention, Rachel counters, her voice remaining frustratingly level. Something you've never been good at when it comes to men? I start to snap at her, but catch myself when I notice the server lingering at the next table. I lower my voice instead. Rachel, please, you've never given Ben a chance. I found someone who makes me happy, who gave me the family I always wanted. Don't you see how this is tearing me apart? Try to understand what's at stake here. This family, they've become everything to me. I reach across the table, not quite touching her hand. I finally found where I belong. Rachel's expression softens for just a moment before hardening again. Is that really what you think this is about? That I'm trying to hurt you? Then help me understand, I whisper, my voice cracking slightly, because right now it feels like you're determined to destroy the only real happiness I've ever known. Why? Because I watched our mother die by inches in a marriage just like yours. Her voice drops to a harsh whisper. Because I pulled you out of David's apartment when he put your head through a wall. Because Alice Stone reached out to me shortly before she died, and I didn't help her in time. The cafe goes silent around us, or maybe it's just the blood rushing to my ears, drowning out everything but Rachel's words. You're lying. My voice sounds distant, detached. I don't want to remember any of the things she's talking about. David is in my past. I'm a different person now. Alice never knew you. She found me through my support group, said she'd been following my work. Rachel's eyes never leave mine. She was planning to leave him, Emma. She was terrified. No, I shake my head, rejecting the words, the implications. I don't believe you. Look at the evidence. She pushes the folder toward me again. Read Alice's own words. Then tell me I'm wrong. I stare at the folder between us, this Pandora's box of accusations and evidence. Part of me wants to shove it off the table, to reject everything it contains. Another part, the part that's been awake at night since getting Alice's letters, wants to devour every page, every detail. You need to stop this, I say instead, my voice cracking. Call off your TikTok attack dog. Take the videos down before they destroy everything. They're only destroying lies, Emma. Rachel zips her bag closed, preparing to leave. The truth will survive just fine. She stands, drawing herself up to her full height. Heads turned toward our table, the other customers no longer pretending not to listen. Can we talk about this outside, I say, gathering my purse into the folder. Please don't leave yet. Rachel nods once, already moving toward the door. Her back is straight, her stride purposeful, the posture of someone absolutely convinced of her righteousness. I need to convince her to stop this. And we go into chapter 16. Outside, Emma asks Rachel how long she has been investigating Ben, and she says since she saw their engagement announcement in the Tampa Tribune. She said she recognized the pattern of a widowed, successful doctor marrying a woman who works for his family business, which is a story she's apparently heard dozens of times in her support groups, despite how oddly specific that is. And she knew Emma had been bamboozled before. Alice came to her, gave her the SD card that showed him recording her every move, and asks her how Emma knows he isn't doing the same to her. I talked to 17 people who knew them as a couple. Rachel's eyes never leave mine, that same unflinching stare she's had since we were kids. The housekeeper who saw Alice flinch when Ben raised his voice and drop a Waterford crystal vase that shattered across the marble floor. The colleague who noticed finger-shaped bruises on Alice's wrist during an art presentation at the Westwood Gallery. The same night, Ben gave that speech about supporting women in the arts. The neighbor who heard arguments through open windows, always late at night, always ending with Alice apologizing while something crashed against the wall. And you couldn't pick up the phone before I married him, my voice cracks, before the wedding? Rachel's face hardens. I called you 27 times in 3 months, Emma. Left voicemails, sent texts, emails with attachments. You blocked my number the week before your engagement party. I asked Mom to speak to you, and she refused. I wanted to tell you what I knew, but you wouldn't listen. He's bad news. He was abusive to his ex-wife. I have tried to tell you in so many ways, and in the end, I have had to reveal him to the world. That's when Mira and I teamed up. My throat tightens. People argue. Marriages have rough patches. Doesn't mean he killed her. Her therapist was preparing to file a report with authorities when Alice died. Rachel's voice drops to a whisper. She suspected ongoing emotional and physical abuse. Alice had bruises shaped like fingerprints on her upper arms, 5 perfect ovals of purple and yellow. A fractured wrist she claimed came from falling down the stairs at their beach house in Naples. 3 separate ER visits for household accidents in 6 months. A kitchen knife slip, a tumble in the shower, a fall from a ladder while hanging Christmas lights. Rachel leans closer. The day after Alice died, the therapist received a manila envelope Alice had mailed, containing a 5-page letter detailing her fear that Ben would eventually kill her. I swallow hard, my throat dry. Speaking of letters. Rachel, have you been sending me letters pretending to be Alice? What are you talking about? Don't play dumb. I've been receiving letters from someone pretending to be Alice, warning me about Benjamin, but I don't believe any of them. Did you send them to scare me, to destroy my marriage, my life? Her eyes widen, genuine surprise flashing across her face. What? No, God no. But there's something in the way she looks down at her hands that makes me think she knows more than she's saying. I'm getting tired of people lying to me. If all you say is true, I say, fighting to keep my voice steady. Why didn't the therapist take it to the police? Why wasn't there an investigation? There was, a cursory one. Rachel's mouth twists. Led by Detective Lucas Ramirez, closed the case in record time despite the therapist's statement. I think of Robert at dinner. His cool assessment, his subtle threats, the way the Stone family closes ranks, protects their own. You're making connections that don't exist, I say, but conviction has leached from my own voice. Seeing conspiracy where there's only coincidence. Am I Rachel steps closer? Then why did the mechanic who serviced Alice's car 3 days before her death suddenly receive an anonymous donation to expand his business? Why did the medical examiner who ruled her death accidental get a position on the Harbor Heights Medical Board 6 months later? Why has every person who questioned the official story been silenced, bought off, or intimidated? Even the guy that towed her car after it was pulled out of the water told me, off the record, that he received a donation right after. You sound insane. My hands are shaking now, the folder threatening to spill its contents across the cracked asphalt. And you sound exactly like Mom did. Rachel's words sound like a slap. Defending Dad to the end, finding excuses for the bruises, the controlling behavior, the isolation, refusing to see what's right in front of you. So again, she let her dad walk her down the aisle? Kinda crazy. Kinda crazy. Emma tells Rachel that she can't stand that she found happiness while she sees abuse everywhere she looks. That's the only explanation of this crusade of turning her husband into a villain without due process. Rachel responds that due process failed, just like it fails thousands of women every year. Alice contacted Rachel 3 days before her death, which Emma realizes is the same timeline as when the car was serviced. She found me through my support group website. Rachel's eyes hold mine unflinching. She said she was planning to leave him, that she had evidence but needed help getting away safely. We scheduled a meeting for the day after she died. Her voice catches the only crack in her composure. I was too late. The folder nearly slips from my grasp. I clutch it tighter, knuckles white against the manila. I won't be too late for you, Rachel continues. I won't watch another woman die because I didn't act soon enough, especially not my sister.
She can't be saved.
Emma denies that she is endangered, though, and Rachel asks her if she considered that Alice is alive and hiding in plain sight, and then Rachel leaves. Emma sees a car across the street with someone in it pointing a phone at them, and she wonders if it's Lily, and then gets into her car to leave, and on her seat is another envelope with her name on it. So yeah, before we get into chapter 7 and get into the letter, how is she given all this evidence from her sister, all this evidence from the TikToks, and she still is in denial, still claims that Ben couldn't do any of this, and sticks by his side? I'm sorry, but she might be the most gullible character besides all of Frida McFadden's characters. Sorry, I'll stop talking about Frida for now. Just crazy. We go into chapter 17 and she reads the letter. I'm losing my voice already here, so I'm so sorry if it's like whack for the rest of the video, but I don't know what it is today. My voice is gone already. But anyway, the letter reads, "By now you know he's dangerous. I hoped my first letter would be enough to warn you, but if you're still there, still with him, still in danger, perhaps this will convince you. It was our anniversary, 5 years married. I wore the green dress he liked, made his favorite dinner, even bought those ridiculously expensive scotch-filled chocolates he loves. Everything was perfect. Then I mentioned my brother had invited us to visit him in Seattle. Just mentioned it, not even asked if we could go. His face changed instantly, like a mask dropping. One moment my charming, smiling husband, the next something cold and hard and frightening. He asked why I'd been talking to my brother without telling him, said I was being secretive, manipulative, planning things behind his back. I tried to explain it was just a casual conversation, nothing planned, but he wouldn't listen. His voice got louder, mine got smaller. He followed me into the kitchen, standing too close as I cleaned up dinner dishes, kept asking questions with no right answers. Why was I so desperate to get away from him? Was I meeting someone in Seattle? Did I think he was stupid? When I turned away, his hand shot out, gripped my upper arm so hard I gasped. He spun around to face me, fingers digging into my flesh. Don't walk away when I'm talking to you, he said, his voice so quiet now, which was somehow worse than the yelling. I started crying, couldn't help it. The pain, the fear, the confusion, all of it bubbling up and spilling over. He watched me cry with this strange detachment, like he was observing an experiment, still gripping my arm, still leaving the bruises I'd have to hide at work the next day. I'm sorry, I said, though I didn't know what for. It's what he wanted to hear, the magic words that sometimes ended these episodes. Not this time. Sorry isn't good enough, he said, his voice cold and menacing. You need to learn. Learn what? I never knew. Just thought I was always failing some test I didn't know I was taking. That night he did something terrible. He locked me in the basement, the door slamming shut with a chilling finality, leaving me alone. Before he left, he placed a mirror in front of me, leaning on the wall. Look at yourself, he instructed, his voice dropping with a sinister edge. See what you've done. Then he left. My heart raced as I heard the unmistakable sound of a chain, heavy and metallic, being dragged across the floor above. Panic clawed at my throat as I realized he was sealing the door. He left for work the next morning like nothing happened, left me out of the basement, kissed my forehead, said he loved me, left a coffee on the kitchen counter. The bruises on my arm formed a perfect handprint, 5 fingers of deepening purple. I wore long sleeves for days, hiding not only the marks, but the fear that had taken root deep within me. This wasn't the first time. It wasn't the last, but it was when I knew I needed to start documenting everything, start planning my escape. By the way, did they ever find my phone when I died? The final question pulls me from the horror of Alice's account like a slap. Her phone? I never thought about her phone. Was it recovered from the crash? Was it searched? What might it contain? So she Googles how to find a phone that went missing years ago, and the results lead her to the IT department at Stone Advertising. Yeah, not sure your husband's father's company is the ideal place to go snooping for information, but sure. She asks Marcus, the IT guy, if he can do something unofficial and locate a phone. She lies that she has a friend whose sister died suddenly, and the phone might have photos and messages that will give the family closure. She gives him the phone number, which she can tell he recognizes. Why he would recognize Alice's phone number when she never worked there, I'm not sure. But again, okay. But 20 minutes later, he tells her that the phone didn't stop pinging when her friend's sister died, that it kept going for almost a week after. He says it could mean the battery lasted a while, someone else had the phone, or the phone wasn't with her when she died. The last ping came from a cell tower near Powell Harbor in the industrial district, which leads them to a storage facility called Park Safe Storage. She asks if he can find out if she rented a unit at the facility, and he asks for what name to try. Now she has to reveal that it is Alice, and he starts asking why, but stops himself because he really doesn't even want to be involved, and he tells her there is a unit under an A. Graham, paid for 5 years ago in cash, and he gives her the current unit code. This stays between us, right? His eyes hold mine, suddenly serious. The fluorescent light catches on the small scar on his knuckles, the one he got when he punched through the server room wall while after finding his fiancée was sleeping with the CFO. I'd covered for him, told him he had allergic reaction to medication, and hallucinated. I even convinced Robert to let him keep his job. That was back when I was still Robert's favorite and he'd listen to anything I say. Okay, so he owes her a favor then. Got it. They're not really friends. We go into chapter 18. She drives to this storage facility and had hoped she would check her car for a tracker first, but no. Ben calls her and tells her that his dad thinks this is some kind of orchestrated takedown and they want to bring in the crisis PR team. And then he asks where she is, and she says she's running some errands and lies that she had coffee with her mom, even though she hasn't talked to her mom in years. And they end the call after he complains about the situation a bit more, and then Emma walks to the storage unit. And on the walk, she thinks about how she told herself she would never marry a man like her father. Yet you had your father walk down the aisle while you married a man.
That seems a bit contradictory, Cap.
Confusing. I feel like the author wrote that part and then just later on decided that she was going to have an abusive dad and forgot that he wrote that she was at the wedding, honestly. Yeah, she told herself she would never marry a man like her father, but she thinks Ben is not that man. Hey girl, remember that river in Egypt?
Denial.
Yeah, she uses the code to get into the facility and finds the unit, which is padlocked, and she uses her Platinum American Express Centurion card, specific, just to let us know that she's really rich, to slide between the door and the frame, feeling for the latch mechanism, which she did many times when she was a teenager, and her dad would lock her up for some minor infraction. Again, why was this man at your wedding? I'm so confused right now. Anyway, the unit is nearly empty with just one single cardboard box in the middle of the room. A gram on it in Alice's handwriting, and inside it is a cracked iPhone, and enveloped in a collection of photographs. The photos are all of Alice and Ben. The phone is unsurprisingly dead, and the envelope has life insurance policies, Alice's will, and financial records. There's also a necklace with 3 charms, so she knows that the necklace does exist, but wonders if it really ever contained a small camera. And she finds one more thing in the box. A shim, which I had to Google, and I guess it's a small piece of metal used to fill gaps between objects. But yeah, she takes the phone and, being the smarty pants that she is, leaves everything else behind and leaves. And then she notices a car parked across the street. And who's inside? Lily. We go to chapter 19. When she gets home, Lily's car is in the driveway and she looks through the house and finds her in the backyard. She tells her that she saw her. Of course, Lily denies it and yells at her for pretending to care about her and her dad when she knows she is sneaking around with people trying to destroy her father's reputation. Emma says she just is trying to understand what happened and that Lily is the one who was talking to the TikToker. Lily said it was to tell her to stop spreading the story and the lies, but Emma says that's a lie because she said it may have been the truth. Lily tells her to believe what she wants, but understand that she will never replace her mother. Emma's like, I never tried to, I just wanted us to be a family, and Lily retorts that she doesn't get to say that and then act like the victim. Lily, please, I'm not trying to replace anyone, especially not your mother. I know what it's like to lose someone and feel empty, but this isn't about me or even Ben, it's about what you need, and I think you need to know the truth. She scoffs, uncurling from her defensive stance just enough to glare at me. The truth? What is that even? That you married him for the house and the money? That's not, I say, but then stop myself. Do you, I start, desperate, even believe what's being said in those videos online? I know you see them. I know you read the comments. My hands are shaking. I put them behind my back so she doesn't notice. People are saying terrible things about your family, about your dad. I just want to understand what really happened. I want you to trust me. I almost add help me, but I don't. Lily doesn't move for a long time. She just stares, maybe through me, maybe into the past. Then with a clipped finality, she says, you don't know the first thing about trust. Lily, if you know something about your mother's death, something that wasn't in the reports. I don't. Her voice is flat again, controlled. You're twisting my words. I'm not twisting anything. You just said. Sound of the garage door opening cuts through our argument. Benjamin's car pulling in. Lily and I both freeze, our heads turning toward the house like synchronized dancers. We're not done with this conversation, I say quickly, urgently. Yes, we are. Lily's expression shifts, a subtle rearrangement of features that transforms her from wounded to resolute. We're absolutely done. So Benjamin comes in and, sensing the tension, asks what's going on, and Lily cries to him that Emma has been interrogating her and she thinks that she's behind the videos and following her, and Emma admits that yeah, she saw her when she met with Rachel. And Ben is shocked she met with her sister when they haven't even spoken for over a year. She admits that she reached out to her when she realized that she was working with Mira Patel, and Benjamin is mad she is betraying them by meeting with people trying to destroy their family and now blaming Lily. Emma defends herself that she's just trying to get them to stop, but he cuts her off saying that's enough. And you know what happens when a man tells me to shut up?
Malfoy, you okay?
He tells her to leave Lily out of it, that she's just a grieving kid who is now being traumatized by these videos. And then he adds that it's best if she stays home from the hospital fundraiser on Sunday, and then he leaves the room with Lily. They turn together, moving toward the stairs and leaving me standing alone in the kitchen. As they reach the doorway, Lily glances back over her shoulder. For just a fraction of a second, her mask slips. The vulnerability vanishes, replaced by something triumphant, something knowing. Her eyes meet mine, and I think I can see a ghost of a smile touch her lips. Not the trembling, tearful one she showed her father, but something sharp and satisfied. Then they're gone, their footsteps receding up the stairs, leaving me with the hollow echo of what just happened. Lily knows how to play Benjamin perfectly, knows exactly which strings to pull to make him dance to her tune, knows how to transform herself from aggressor to victim in the blink of an eye. And I am left wondering which version of my stepdaughter is real, the vulnerable child seeking her father's protection, or the calculating young woman who just outmaneuvered me easily, girl who might know what really happened to her mother. I sink onto a kitchen stool. Now I know for certain that she's trying to break up my marriage, and I won't let her. Girl, I'm really afraid you are accusing the wrong person here. But let's see how this unfolds. Also, before we move on, can I just mention one thing that's bugging me? They keep referring to Alice as Ben's ex-wife. Even the cover says his ex-wife sent me a letter. But if their marriage is only over because she died, wouldn't they refer to her as like his late spouse? Sorry, it's just driving me crazy. It feels kind of disrespectful to refer to her as the ex-wife. Maybe I'm just nitpicking. I don't know. Let's go into chapter 20. That morning, Ben was again called into surgery early, so Emma's just been alone, worrying, and the night before, she apparently apologized profusely to Ben and promised to make things right with Lily, and they had a normal night after. He told her that his father's lawyers were working to get the videos removed from social media, and then he doesn't get home till after dinner, where she waits in the bedroom for him, except 30 minutes after his car gets there, he still doesn't come up. So she heads downstairs and finds Benjamin at his desk quietly sobbing. This vulnerable tableau contradicts everything Alice's letters have suggested, everything Rachel's evidence implies. This is not a calculating abuser, a man who controls with cold precision. This is a broken man, crying alone rather than letting anyone else see his pain. What do we think, guys? Is this bawling just an act? We'll see. He tells her that he needs a minute, but instead of leaving him alone, she places a hand on his shoulder and asks what happened, and he tells her that he lost an 8-year-old patient and that her heart just wouldn't restart. My throat tightens. While Lily's been trying to break us apart, he's been going through hell, and now he is carrying this unbearable weight all alone. Does she realize how much her father needs me? Yeah, I'm not really loving this focus she has on Lily, and that last question is giving, I'm gonna take Lily out next so I can have you all alone. I'm not saying that's what's gonna happen, but that's just the vibe. So she comforts him, thinking this is the healer that she fell in love with. He thanks her for not seeing him as weak, and they proceed to have sad shower smecks. I recommit to trusting him, to believing in us as our bodies move together, and I make a silent promise to myself to do whatever it takes to protect this man. Girl, I don't think you gotta protect him. This is a rich white man. He's gonna be just fine. We go into chapter 21. She does end up going to the fundraiser with him, and their plan is to just act like this whole scandal never happened. She goes to the bar, watches him schmooze everyone, and then she overhears two women Ben mentioned were on the hospital board gossiping about how he remarried already. One saying, I suppose you'd be desperate for a bit of romance after Alice. I heard she was quite cold. What do you mean? The other lady asks. She was always turning her nose up at poor Benjamin. She came from money, you see. Much more money than he has. Old Boston family. The woman shakes her head, ice tinkling in her whiskey glass. I always thought she faked her death to run off to the Bahamas. The shorter woman leans forward, pearls swinging, and the two laugh. I don't think she'd be happy to see Benjamin moving on so fast. I think their parents just wanted to see them married. She always thought she was better than him. She lets the sentence hang, arched eyebrows completing the thought. Well, this is new info. But yeah, Emma wonders if Alice is alive somewhere living off of that money and just trying to play with Benjamin now. The thought strikes without warning, electric and terrifying. What if the crash was staged? What if the body was misidentified? What if Alice is doing all of this to break me and Benjamin up? This doesn't even make sense. What, Alice staged her death 5 years ago to break you and Benjamin up now? Like, what? Ugh, anyway, she leaves to get air and she sees Ben spot her across the room, who then grabs her and asks her to meet the new hospital board members. And then later, when he is mingling alone again, she retreats to the silent auction display, and Margaret, his mom, approaches her, and Emma tells her that the gala seems to be a success, but she responds that appearances can be deceiving. Weird comment. But yeah, she pulls her aside and tells her that she is worried about the TikTok scandal, that 3 families have requested different surgeons than Ben this week alone, and that Robert is getting calls from clients that are unsure they want to remain with an agency associated with such unpleasantness. And then she presses her nails into Emma's arm
Unhand me, strange woman!
and tells her Benjamin mentioned her sister is feeding info to the TikToker. My breath catches. I haven't spoken to Rachel in. We know you met with her. Margaret's interruption is smooth, practiced, and I'm worried about you. Across the ballroom, Benjamin holds court among a circle of adoring hospital donors. His head is thrown back in laughter at something an elderly woman in diamonds has said. His hand rests lightly on her shoulder, the perfect gentleman, attentive and charming. You need to get this under control, Margaret continues, her voice like silk over steel. The video's your sister, your own erratic behavior. I turn slightly, meeting her gaze directly. My behavior? Benjamin tells us you've been unstable, imagining people following you, attacking our granddaughter. Her eyes, so like Benjamin's in shape, if not in warmth, study my face with clinical detachment. The gold pendant at her throat catches the light as she leans forward. It's concerning, Emma. To all of us who care about you. She asks Margaret if Alice ever confided in her about Ben, which is honestly a crazy question to ask a woman who's obviously going to protect her son over anything else. Still, she answers that Alice was cold and distant and that Ben would bring her flowers and she would just put them in water without even thanking him. Do you think I hesitate, then plunge ahead? Is it possible she's still alive? Margaret's laugh is like breaking glass. Good heavens, no. Wouldn't that be just like Alice, to orchestrate something so cruel, to make us all suffer to prove a point? She reaches around and pats my hand. The crash was devastating, dear. No one walked away from that. Okay, so at the family dinner, everyone was talking about how perfect Alice was and how everyone loved her, and now she's this cold woman that would want them to suffer to prove a point. I don't get the switch up here. It doesn't make any sense. And it really just, like, this narrative came out of nowhere.
Really? You dudes need to get your story straight.
Anyway, Margaret leaves and Lily materializes next to her, handing her some champagne. Lily says she saw her talking to her grandma and she says that she worries about her. They all do. Before I can respond, she leans closer, her perfume subtle, expensive, definitely not a teenager's choice, enveloping me as she whispers, "You pronounced Dr. Whittaker's name wrong earlier. Dad noticed." My stomach drops. Dr. Whittaker, the new neurosurgeon Benjamin introduced me to during our initial circuit of the room. I'd called him Whittaker. Whittaker? I don't know. It just says Dr. Whittaker, and then it says she called him Dr. Whittaker just with an extra T. So I don't know how that's supposed to be pronounced, but apparently she pronounced it wrong. An easy mistake. I'm sure he understood, I say, trying to maintain composure. Simple mistake. Dad says details matter. Lily straightens a non-existent wrinkle in her dress, especially with important people like Dr. Whittaker. His department could direct a lot of funding to the pediatric wing. Her words land like a judgment, another small stone added to the barrier she's constructing between us. Before I can defend myself, Lily's face transforms. Her gaze shifts past me, her shoulders pull back, and her lips curve into a genuine smile I've never seen directed at me. I turn to see Benjamin walking toward us, flanked by 2 colleagues in suits who must be hospital board members. "What do you think of this piece?" Lily asks, smoothly changing subjects as she gestures towards a modern painting on display among the auction items. Emma was just saying she finds it fascinating. I wasn't. I hadn't even noticed the artwork until this moment. An abstract canvas of harsh red lines intersecting with black circles that means nothing to me. But now Benjamin stands beside us, his cologne mingling with Lily's perfume, creating a sensory barrier between me and the rest of the room. Was she? Benjamin's hand settles at the small of my back. "Tell us what you find so compelling about it, Emma." Damn, now we're interrogating her about an art piece? But she just makes up a tidbit of what she likes about it, and Lily tries to test her with like a trick question about the piece, or so Emma thinks. And Ben adds that Lily gets her eye from art from her mother, which, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Her mom was an artist, so surprise, surprise. So yeah, after Emma comments on the art piece, Ben says, "Perhaps we should stick to what we know." Benjamin suggests, his smile never faltering. Emma's talents lie elsewhere, creative direction for advertising campaigns, not art criticism. The gentle diminishment sounds like praise to anyone over here in our conversation. To me, it's another cut. Lily nods in perfect agreement, her expression a masterpiece of daughterly admiration directed at her father and carefully masked disdain for me. Girl, even if this man is not a murderer, I don't get what you see in him. If he's just always making these backhanded compliments about you, like, I don't get it. But yeah, he asks her to dance. When she looks back at Lily, her gaze doesn't seem hateful, but something more complex. And we go into chapter 22. She goes back to the IT department at Stone Advertising, asks Marcus to look at financial records for Alice, and Marcus wants to know why she would even want that, and she admits that she has been receiving letters that suggest that Alice isn't dead, and she wants to know if there were any unusual financial movements before or after her death. He tells her he will give her 5 minutes to look, and he finds an account in the Bahamas that was opened 6 months before her death that transferred substantial sums out of their joint checking account. The Bahamas account made regular transfers to a custodial account in Lily's name, an account Benjamin Stone doesn't appear to have signature authority on. Alice was moving money, hiding it from Benjamin, ensuring Lily had access to funds he couldn't control. Why? Was she planning to leave him? According to the letters, she was. Was she also planning to take Lily away, or was she preparing for something worse? The Bahamas account has been dormant since Alice's death, and the custodial account for Lily shows regular withdrawals that a teenager would make. So there isn't any evidence of Alice being alive, but the account does suggest that she was preparing for something before her death. She asks him to check if anyone accessed her workstation the morning before her presentation, and he finds that yes, Lily is the one who accessed it and changed her presentation. So yeah, she thinks Lily is trying to make her look unstable in front of her grandfather, and she considers showing Robert this or confronting Lily, but decides she needs to gather more evidence. Just show the man. She gets home, hears Ben humming around in the kitchen, and he tells her that she didn't answer his text about dinner. She says she's not hungry, and he says she needs to eat, and it looks like she needs to rest too. She mentions she's been having trouble with sleep, and he gives her a bottle of low-dose Zolpidem to help her fall asleep. There's no name on the label, so she asks where it came from, and he says it's just samples from a pharmaceutical rep. She is unsure about taking the pills, and she should be, but he says he has never seen her so exhausted. She accepts them and says she will think about it. Benjamin nods, returning to his wine and journals, the perfect picture of a concerned husband. Despite everything, my heart still aches with tenderness watching him. The gentle way he holds his glass, the furrow in his brow as he reads, these are the details that made me fall in love with him. These are the reasons I am still in love with him. These are the reasons why I refuse to let Lily come between us.
Yeah, he's not a killer.
Ah, the villain is Lily. Everything is her fault. Chapter 23. She didn't take the pills, thank gosh, but the mail is delivered and what do you know? There's another letter. She is about to read it when Ben asks if she is ready to go to his parents, and she shoves the letter into her purse. And he tells her she looks tired and asks if she's taking those vitamins he gave her, which, if he's referring to the Zolpidem, I'm probably saying that wrong, but if he's referring to that, those aren't vitamins. That's a prescription sedative. Mr. Doctor is trying to downplay what they are. She lies and says she's taking them every morning, so that made me think, okay, is she not talking about the Zolpidem? Because, like, she wouldn't take those in the morning, right? This is confusing because now he's mentioning vitamins for the first time after he just gave her the sleeping pills. So I'm like, what is he talking about here? I don't know. I just thought this part was confusing and, like, bad writing, honestly. But yeah, on the drive to his parents, she asks him if there's been more videos. He says, yeah. 2 more yesterday, analyzing body language again, and anonymous sources claiming he's controlling. And she reassures him that these internet scandals never last, and they head up to the penthouse. Lily is already at the dinner table and tells them that they're late, and their maid is on vacay, so Margaret serves them dinner. Like, I don't know why that's important at all, but the author mentions it. But yeah, Robert says Carl Hartman is worried about her returning to work, and of course Ben's like, returning to work, because she never told him about the sabbatical. So yeah, he's upset she didn't tell him, but says he is understanding of all the pressure that she's been under, and she says that presentation will be reworked, not mentioning that Lily altered it, and Robert goes on that he expected more from her. And then he says that the TikTok woman posted again, and Ben's mother has been fielding calls all day from charity boards asking her if she wants to step back from her duties. And then Lily adds that a teacher at school said she would pray for her family as if dad did anything wrong. So yeah, they're all complaining about how much this is like affecting them, and Emma gets overwhelmed, the letter burning in her purse, and she excuses herself to the restroom so she can read it. Today starts perfectly. Sunlight streams through white orchids on the windowsill as Ben brings me coffee in bed. His smile seems genuine, his touch gentle. I almost believe this version of him. The loving husband, the attentive father, brilliant doctor everyone admires. We spend the morning laughing, planning our future, a trip to Greece next summer, Lily's college options, the renovation to the east wing of the Morrison estate. But by afternoon, something shifts. Phone call I'm not meant to overhear. Ben in his study, voice low and urgent. She's becoming a problem, he says. No, not Lily. Alice. When I enter, he ends the call abruptly, smiles too widely, asks about dinner plans as if I hadn't heard my name spoken like a diagnosis. When I ask about the call, his face changes, just for a second, but long enough to see the mask slip. His voice turns cold when I ask about it. His fingers dig into my wrist when I press for answers. Bruise forms on my wrist where he gripped me too hard. Later, he brings me jewelry to apologize. I've been recording everything, every conversation, every episode Ben claims I've had but can't remember. Every pill he's given me that doesn't match my prescription. I know he's trying to get rid of me. I have become a problem. I think he is planning on killing me. I'm scared. If you're reading this, you should be scared too. And then Margaret Knox, concerned that she's taking so long. Maybe the girl's taking a shit. God damn it. Leave her alone. Give her a minute. Yeah, she joins Margaret. They head back to the dining room where they are yet again having Alice's famous lemon tart. And Ben and Robert are in an intense convo but fall silent when she takes her seat. And Robert says they were just talking about how the TikToks are ruining the family's reputation. And Margaret comments that Ben would never hurt Alice. She had mental health issues. And everyone knew it. Really? Because you never mentioned it before now. I feel gaslit. But Ben adds that the hospital wants him to take a temporary leave of absence. And Lily adds that the school has been tough on her with the gossip. And he says they need to go and that Emma needs rest. And while they're gathering their things, Lily whispers to her, "You don't belong here," with a cold smile. But before she can respond, Detective Ramirez comes up the elevator and he says he's there officially and needs to speak to both of them privately. So the three of them go to his father's study and we go into chapter 24. Apparently, Detective Ramirez investigated Alice's death and declared it an accident despite suspicious circumstances. And guys, I'm not too familiar with the ins and outs of police work, but is it not odd to anyone else that Ramirez was allowed to be lead on the case of his friend's wife's death? Like, is that not a conflict of interest? The detective places a file folder on the desk and says there has been a development in Alice's case. And he says new evidence has come to light and that over the past 3 months they have received numerous phone calls that Alice's car accident wasn't an accident at all. And when Ben asks if it was all from the TikTok lunatic, Ramirez says they have been getting anonymous tips from multiple people, even a few from the hospital, and they have reason to believe someone tampered with Alice's brakes. And Ben says Emma's sister is behind those videos, that she's just jealous of her sister's marriage and never liked him. And Ramirez is like, well, be that as it may. They reopen the case and he is telling him as a friend. Ben says he wants to talk to his lawyer and Ramirez is like, chill, I'm not accusing you. I'm just trying to build a timeline here. And he explains that the mechanic left a statement saying that the brake lines were in perfect condition, but in post-crash, it is clear the brakes failed. You're telling me that they didn't discover this 5 years ago when the accident happened? Like, this doesn't make any sense. But again, he says he needs to interview everyone again and access his phone records, security systems, and email accounts. again. He's like, let's just get through these questions so we can all go home, and asks if they're still coming to his daughter's quinceañera Saturday. Again, like, how is this close family friend allowed to be on the case? What? Before they start questions, he asks if they knew Alice drew a substantial amount of money from the family trust the morning she died. Again, like, I feel like they would have found that out 5 years ago if any of them actually did their jobs, but apparently they didn't. But yeah, they both say no, they didn't know that, and he asks Ben to leave so he can interview Emma alone first. Before he leaves, Ben stands there frozen, unwilling to meet my eyes. I realize abruptly that we are both terrified, but not of the same thing. I know in my heart that Lily did this, and this time she has taken it too far. Hello. Oh my god, look who's here. It's Miss Monster. And she says, what did she say? She said subscribe, guys. Yeah. She wants to see you guys around here more often. Emma, Lily did what exactly? Orchestrated multiple people to call the police with concerns about Alice's death? Yeah, that's believable. I mean, the letters are one thing, but obviously there's evidence coming from multiple places that is painting Ben in a bad light. Like, I really don't think Lily is in control of all that. But we go into chapter 25, and this whole chapter is the interview, so I'm just going to read it to you from the point that he starts asking questions. For the record, state your name and relationship to Alice Stone, Ramirez says, his tone shifting from the almost friendly one he used with Ben earlier to something more formal, more detached. Emma Stone Caldwell. I hesitate, the words sticking in my throat. I'm married to her widower. Ramirez nods, making a note in his small pad. And when did you first meet Dr. Stone? 5 years ago, at Stone Advertising, I was presenting a campaign for his father, Robert Stone, and Ben happened to be there. So this was before Alice's death. Death. The word hangs in the air between us. Death. Possible murder, not accident. Is this really true? If so, then it's a nightmare. Yes. He didn't notice me then, not till years later. And when did your relationship begin? We started dating about a year ago, I say. We married in October. Ramirez's pen scratches across his notepad. Did you know Alice before her accident? No, I never met her. Only heard about her. I grip my hands together in my lap to stop them from trembling. Mrs. Stone, were you aware of the TikTok videos accusing your husband of involvement in Alice's death? Yes, my voice comes out smaller than I intend. And what was your reaction to those accusations? I feel trapped, cornered. I keep thinking of the letters. Should I mention them? I was concerned, shocked. It's a terrible thing to accuse someone of. But did you believe them? Ramirez presses. I know my husband, I say, the non-answer hanging between us. Ramirez watches me for a long moment, then shifts his focus. Emma, are you aware that you were mentioned in one of the videos online, made by a woman behind the account, Mira Patel? It was based on a text she received. My heart stutters. No, I'm sure they have mentioned me. What did it say? The exact text read, ask Emma about the phone. The floor seems to drop from beneath me. Someone knows I found her phone, knows I've been keeping it, carrying it, hiding it from Ben. I've tried to charge it and turn it on, but with no success. My mind races, searching for a plausible explanation that isn't the truth. Before I can speak, Ramirez leans forward. I'd like to know what that's all about, he says, his eyes never leaving my face. Her phone was never found. The accusation in his tone catches me off guard. I'd walked in expecting routine questions, not this ambush. My throat tightens as I glance at the empty chair beside me where Ben should be. I hadn't thought I'd need him here. I was wrong. I don't know anything about a phone, I lie, the words tasting like acid. I never met Alice. I never received anything from her. Ramirez's expression doesn't change, but something in his eyes hardens. Interesting. That's not the only thing, though. He pulls a photograph from his file and slides it across the table. It's me, entering Mac's auto shop the day I spoke to Anton about Alice's car. You visited the same auto shop recently that serviced Alice's car before her accident, Ramirez says. You asked the mechanic specifically about the brake work formed on her vehicle. The walls of the room seemed to close in. I was curious, I say, the excuse pathetic even to my own ears. After those videos started circulating, I wanted to know. Wanted to know what? Ramirez's voice has gone cold, professional. If your husband has something to do with her death, or if there was any way it could be traced back to you. That's not... I didn't... The words tangle and die in my throat. Mrs. Stone, Ramirez interrupts, leaning forward. You're the only one who had reason to want Alice out of the picture. The accusation lands like a physical blow. What? You worked at Stone Advertising when Alice was alive. You noticed her husband before he saw you. You wanted to be with him already back then, didn't you? My head spins. That's not true. You just said you saw him, but he didn't notice you till years later, Ramirez says. You wanted him to see you. I have talked to several of your colleagues testifying to that. How you would blush when he walked in. How you would secretly look at him, tell people he was handsome, and so on. This is insane, I whisper. You wanted her life, didn't you? Ramirez continues, his voice relentless. And you got it. Her husband, her home, her family, the money, and a good position at the company. I didn't even know her. Words burst from me, too loud in the formal quiet of the room. How could I have wanted her dead when I never even met her? Colleagues at Stone Advertising say otherwise, Ramirez counters. Do you remember you attending the same functions, working on projects for her gallery? That's not possible, my voice shakes now. Those are lies, fabrications, but who would create them and why? Lily. She could have spread those rumors. I have nothing to hide, I say, the lie burning my tongue, but I don't understand where these accusations are coming from. I never competed with Alice. I never even met her. I did receive letters from her, though, after her death. Ramirez gathers his notes, his expression neutral. Sometimes people have selective memories when under stress, he says. Perhaps you'll remember more details later. I'd like to speak with your husband's daughter now, if you permit it. Of course, I say, while my heart drops. Lily, what is she going to tell him? Nothing good about me, that's for sure. Let me get her. Yeah, he's definitely Ben's friend, not hers. We go into chapter 26. She grabs Lily, and both her and Ben sit in on the interview since she is a minor, and he asks if she has noticed anything unusual like strange house calls or someone watching the house, like wholly leading questions. But Lily just says that Emma has been acting strange for weeks, always asking about her mom and what she was like, her habits, and she thought she was trying to connect with her, but it became intense and obsessive. That's not true, I interject, the words bursting out before I can stop them. I've asked normal questions anyone would ask about their predecessor. Predecessor?
The single white female thing is so mid-90s.
Yeah, girl, you're not helping your case here. Like, that just makes you look like you planned the whole thing. But yeah, Lily, she came home early from debate practice last week and saw Emma holding her mom's phone, trying to turn it on. She said she recognized it from the brown Louis Vuitton cover, and most people couldn't afford one of those. I've found plenty of knockoff Louis Vuitton phone cases on Google for like $30, so not sure that's the strongest argument, but I guess in this case, yeah, it would make sense that it was her mom's. But the price point is like, it doesn't matter. Emma lies that she found the phone in the vanity and wasn't sure whose it was, and Lily says it was her mom's. It even had her name engraved on the case, and that she was trying to open it and didn't just find it. Ramirez asks where the phone is now, and Lily says Emma must have hidden it, that she looked for it later and couldn't find it. And she goes on to say that Emma has been acting weird in other ways, like staying up late on her computer, which Emma tries to say is another lie when Ramirez cuts her off and says to let Lily finish. There's something else, she says, her voice dropping to a near whisper. I saw her searching through the basement last week. She had all these papers spread out with the Crystal River Bridge marked on the map. That's where Mom's accident happened. Basement. We don't even have a basement. The house is built on concrete slab. Florida's water table makes real basements impossible. I open my mouth to object, but Detective Ramirez raises his hand, silencing me before I can speak. The lie hangs in the air between us, impossible yet damning. A cold realization washes over me. Lily is deliberately fabricating evidence against me. Okay, this little basement thing you're gonna see gets to be like a big deal, but for one, it's important that Lily just admitted there's basement to the police officer, Ramirez. Two, I'm pretty sure Alice's letter mentioned Ben locking her in the basement, so why didn't Emma question the basement being in existence then? Whatever. But Lily continues on to say that Emma has been asking a lot of questions about the accident, like she is trying to piece together what happened, and also always seems on edge, like she is waiting for something to happen. And then Ramirez thanks her, and she leaves the room, but as she does, she whispers loud enough for both of them to hear that she's scared of what Emma might do. And she leaves, and Ramirez asks if she wants to respond to any of that. What can I possibly say? say that yes, I've been investigating Alice's death because I have received letters from her, that I found her phone and have been hiding it, that I've been meeting with my sister who's been feeding information to a TikToker accusing Ben of murder. Every truth I could offer only makes me look more guilty in the scenario Lily has constructed. Lily has struggled ever since her mother died, I say finally, the words hollow even to my own ears, and my interest in Alice's death is natural with everything we've been dealing with online. Ramirez doesn't look convinced. You've lied about the phone, he observes. I'd like to see it. I don't have it. I threw it away. I didn't know it belonged to Alice. It was broken anyway, and I couldn't turn it on. The walls seem to close in around me. I am lying like crazy and fear he might see it on my face. I fear that the phone might contain something that might end up hurting Ben. I want to give it to Marcus first so we can see if he can get something out of it. Ramirez rises from his chair, tucking his notebook into his jacket pocket. We'll need to continue this conversation soon, he says, his tone deceptively casual. For now, I suggest you remain in the area and perhaps reconsider destroying anything that might be relevant to our investigation. So yeah, he leaves. Doesn't even interview Ben or the grandparents. Emma knows that she is a suspect now, and Ben is silent. She thinks that the evidence she has been collecting to protect herself might just be the thing that condemns her. And we go into chapter 27. You guys can't see, but I have a bean in my lap now. A monster. So, chapter 27, they get home and Ben asks what the hell was that? He freaks out that his friend is now treating both of them like a suspect, and he asks about the phone. She debates again whether or not to tell him about the letters, and she is worried that the letters will risk Ben's rage and incriminate him too. And she says she needs to tell him something and reaches into her purse and pulls out the letters. She tells him that they started arriving after the honeymoon and are from Alice or someone pretending to be her. Give those to me. Ben's voice has changed, hardened into something I don't recognize. He doesn't move, doesn't reach for them, just stands there commanding. I think we should give them to Ramirez, I say, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. Whoever is writing them is trying to break us apart. Give them to me. Each word is sharp, precise, a scalpel cutting through the air between us. Do I need to give another example of what I would do if a man tried to boss me around like this? But she clutches the letters to her chest and asks that they talk about it first. But he gets mad and asks how long she's been hiding them. I mean, she already told you since the honeymoon. But she tells him again. The first letter came right when we got back from Tahiti. I didn't know what to think. I thought someone was playing a cruel joke. And the video started online. And what, Emma? Another step. Coffee table is all that separates us now. You thought I killed her? Is that what you think? Is that why you've been investigating me behind my back? Ramirez told me you went to the auto shop. Was that to prove that I murdered her? So you and your sister put it all over the internet? My throat constricts. I didn't say that. I never believed the letters or the videos. You didn't have to. His face twists, features rearranging into something unfamiliar. I see it in your eyes. My heart hammers faster. He looks hurt, disappointed in me. Ben, please, let's just read them together. Let's figure this out. His eyes flick to the letters in my hand, then back to my face. Something cold and calculating passes behind them, a shadow moving beneath ice. Of course, he says, his voice suddenly gentle. You're right. We should look at these together. She hands him the top letter, and he says that they should head upstairs to read them away from prying ears. His eyes flicking towards Lily's room, and we go into chapter 28. They get to the bedroom, and Emma explains that this is the fourth letter that she has gotten, and they come every 2 to 3 days. And he unfolds the letter that she gave him, scans it, and crumples it up, yelling that this is sick and nonsense. He says that she should have brought them all to him immediately. That's what a loyal wife would do, a trusting wife. And what would a loyal husband do, Ben? The words escape before I can stop them. His hands clench into fists at his sides, knuckles whitening. You have no idea what you're talking about. No idea what our marriage was like, what Alice was like. Then tell me, I challenged, adrenaline overriding caution. Tell me why it says in the letters that you checked her phone and hid cameras to keep an eye on her. Why was she hiding money? Why are those hospital records of her coming in with bruises? He says that she is his wife and she is supposed to be on his side, and then apologizes that this is just a lot to process. He asks if she didn't think Ramirez would eventually find out she was hiding evidence, and she admits that she hid it because she was scared. He asks if she was afraid of him, and she admits she doesn't even know what to think anymore. The letter suggests Alice was afraid of him. Suggest? The letters straight up say it. And now Ramirez says she may have been murdered, and now he's acting super angry and defensive instead of concerned that his wife was killed. He shouts because it's absurd, and she has fallen for some sick joke. She reiterates that she doesn't believe the letters, but someone is trying to come between them and possibly send her to jail. He asks to see the rest of the letters, and she hands them over to him.
Count.
Why would you do that?
Saying that they should decide what to do with them together, and he doesn't even read them before pulling out his lighter and suggesting that they burn them. He starts lighting one before she even agrees, but still, she's down the clown, and they feed the letters into the fireplace together. He says that they wanted them to turn against each other, but they failed, and as he is saying this, she sees Lily in the doorway watching them. And we go into chapter 29. 2 days later, she is making dinner, happy that Lily can't get between them anymore. Girl, there's still a police investigation going on if you weren't aware. But yeah, as she's looking in the pantry for spices, she sees a small ridge that doesn't belong, and of course, pulling it causes the wall to swing inward, leading to a secret staircase. Yes, the secret basement mentioned. She pulls the flashlight up on her phone and descends the staircase, and the wall is lined with cardboard boxes, all labeled to be Alice's belongings. She opens a box of clothes, then jewelry, and then one with photo albums. I flip one open with trembling fingers. Alice stares back at me, smiling, laughing, alive. The resemblance between us is unsettling. Brown hair, heart-shaped face, wide-set eyes, different women, same type, replaceable parts. I don't recall her ever once before mentioning that there's a resemblance between them, which I feel like would be like pretty important. The author noted how much Lily looks like her mom, but yeah, never mentioned that Emma looks kind of like her, which I think is just like odd not to mention before this, especially when she has focused on photos of Alice multiple times. But still, next she checks the desk down there, which has the same stationery on it as the letters she has been receiving, letters that already have her name and address printed on them. And next to that is a pile of drafts. She thinks that this is proof that Lily is sending the letters. Next, in the drawer, she finds a paper with her daily schedule and a folder labeled Emma Instability Documentation that holds photos of her looking distraught and afraid, which are all building a case to make her look kind of insane. And then she hears footsteps above her and someone opening the pantry door. Yeah, I think it's gonna be Ben. And I bet you she still won't think he's the guilty one, at first at least. And we go to chapter 30. Ben's silhouette fills the doorway at the top of the stairs, a black cutout against the dim light from the kitchen. My breath catches in my throat as he descends one step then another, his movements unhurried and confident. Ben? I'm so glad it's you, I say relieved. I was so afraid it was Lily. You won't believe what I found. Come see. Girl, you don't think he knows that there's a basement in his house? My phone's flashlight cuts through the darkness, casting grotesque shadows across his face as he continues his measured descent. His features are arranged in an expression of fixed calm, the same expression he wears entering a difficult surgery. What are you doing down here? Looking for something? His voice is mild, conversational, as if finding me in his secret basement is a minor curiosity rather than a catastrophe. Why are you home already? I ask. I thought you had surgery. I've been watching you. What do you mean? I watched you go down the stairs and going through all this stuff. How long have you been watching me? My voice emerges steadier than I expected. And why? The security system sends alerts to my phone when certain areas of the house are accessed. Ben reaches the bottom of the stairs, one hand trailing along the wall with casual familiarity, including a pantry with an unusual latch. I saw you on the camera. You have cameras, I say, but we both know I already know this. His smile is thin, indulgent. Every doctor's home should have proper security, Emma, for the family's protection. Sorry, why is that specific to doctors? What? I take another step back, bumping against one of the shelving units. Boxes shift behind me. Alice's possessions, Alice's life, cataloged and stored. Lily didn't do that. Then it hits me. It was you, not Lily. You wrote the letters. I shine the light directly at the desk with its cream-colored stationery and drafts in his handwriting. You pretended to be Alice. You've been gaslighting me. Why did it take you so long to figure that out after he menacingly came down the stairs at you? But yeah, Ben admits that he hoped she would bring the letters to him right away, that she would trust him enough to show him them. But instead, she betrayed his trust. So, like, what? The letters were just a test? Like, I'm I'm really confused what his game plan was. But she asks why he killed Alice, and he says she was unstable, but no one suspected anything about her accident until her sister got involved with Patel. She interviewed me last year and told me she had proof, the SD card from Alice's necklace, the reports from the hospital. She did this to you. Only she had stayed away and kept what she knew to herself. I only did what I had to do. We could have been happy, Emma. Not a denial, not even close to a denial. You tampered with her brakes. I'm piecing it together now, the evidence. You gave her medications that made her confused, paranoid, just like the pills you gave me. When she tried to leave you, you killed her and made it look like an accident. Why? My final question comes out louder than I expected. She was going to take Lily away from me. The first crack in his calm, a flash of genuine emotion. She was going to destroy everything I'd built, my reputation, my family, my life. He smooths his expression back to neutral with practiced ease. I gave her every chance to be reasonable. My skin crawls with each word, the casual way he confirms my worst fears, the clinical detachment with which he discusses ending his wife's life. And me, I ask, though I already know the answer, are you going to kill me? No, he gestures toward the desk with his damning evidence. I don't need to. She argues that Ramirez will find all this evidence, but he says by tomorrow the room will be empty and all that will be left is his wife's erratic behavior. And she lunges trying to pass him, but he grabs her wrist and is like, Emma, you need help. You aren't well. And when she says he is hurting her, he says he would never hurt her. So yeah, he's like gaslighting her, currently trying to get her to believe she's crazy. But she tries a self-defense move that Rachel taught her, which frees her but sends her falling down. Her phone falls and the flashlight shines at his face to reveal his black hole eyes and a creepy smile, and he tells her that she can't leave. She's like, I loved you, I believed in you, and he says she should have. Alice was mentally ill and paranoid, and now she has fallen into the same delusion and that she needs help. She dives for her phone. They get into a tussle for it, but she is able to tap on Ramirez's name in her recent calls, and he answers and asks if it's her. And we go to chapter 31. Before she can scream for help, Ben wrenches the phone from her and apologizes to Ramirez, saying Emma is not well, she is having a paranoid episode. And he goes on to say he is actually glad that Emma called him because he has been meaning to speak to him about her mental health. But Ramirez says to put her on the phone, puts the phone to her mouth, but presses a knee into her when she tries to speak. Ben tells Ramirez she is having trouble speaking because of a panic attack, and that he found her in the storage area going through boxes of Alice's things, becoming hysterical when he confronted her. Ramirez said he heard a struggle and that Emma called him, not Ben. And he lies and says that she has been making crazy phone calls to everyone, but Ramirez calls for her. Ben holds the phone closer again, his eyes boring into mine, a silent instruction. Say what I want you to say or else. I swallow hard, mind racing. If I tell the truth, Ramirez might not believe me. Not with the groundwork Ben has laid portraying me as unstable. If I play along, I might get another chance later. My voice comes out raspy, weak. I'm okay. Girl, what? Bro is literally cutting off your air supply and you're not gonna tell the officer that you need help? But Ramirez asks if she called him by accident and she says no, she does need help. See, Ben's voice remains calm, but his fingers digging painfully into my wrist. This is what I've been dealing with. She thinks my daughter wrote some letters to her pretending to be from my ex-wife. That's how insane she has become. She's convinced she needs police protection. From a 17-year-old, he forces a sad laugh. From my daughter. Emma, are you in danger? Ramirez asks, cutting through Ben's performance. Ben's eyes lock with mine, daring me to contradict him. His thumb slides partially over the end call button. The words stick in my throat. One wrong move and he'll disconnect my only hope. I found things in the basement. Evidence. She means Alice's things, Ben says quickly. She's been going through them obsessively. Lucas, I try again, desperation making my voice stronger. The letters. Lucas is Ramirez, by the way. The letters. She thinks my daughter wrote letters to her pretending to be Alice, Ben interrupts. His doctor's voice perfectly calibrated to convey concern rather than anger. But there are no letters. They're all part of her delusion. I've consulted with a colleague. The symptoms align with acute stress disorder, possibly developing into, we're coming over. Ramirez cuts him off. Keep Emma calm until we get there. That's not necessary, Ben says, but the line has already gone dead. The mask drops instantly. Ben's face contorts with rage as he flings the phone across the room. It hits a metal shelf with a crack, then clatters to the floor, screen dark. Now look what you've done, he hisses, releasing my wrists to grab my shoulders, fingers digging painfully into my flesh. You stupid, ungrateful bitch. But then Ben laughs and says, actually, this is exactly what they need to complete her psychological evaluation. And that when Ramirez arrives, he will find exactly what Ben described, evidence of her delusions with her fingerprints all over it. You wrote those letters so I would look for the phone, didn't you? And her jewelry, so they would have my fingerprints all over them. You wanted me to try and get the SD card from Rachel. That's why you mentioned it. I was nothing but a puppet in your hands. So he wrote the letters in the first place to set her up and make her look guilty for the murder of Alice. When she started receiving the letters, no one was investigating Alice's murder. So the whole plot just kind of falls apart there. It doesn't make sense. There's no rational reason Ben would be trying to set Emma up, right? Am I crazy? It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, no way I put it together makes sense. Back to the chapter. Ben steps casually toward the staircase, his body blocking my escape route. He glances at his watch, then at the stack of draft letters on the workbench. With methodical movements, he begins feeding them into the paper shredder, wincing at each mechanical grind. Careless, he mutters to himself. Should have destroyed these weeks ago. His eyes find mine, clinical and assessing. How did you even find this place? I've kept this basement locked for years. He checks his watch again. Doesn't matter now. The police will be here in 12 minutes. How he knows that, I don't know. Just enough time for you to decide what version of events you'll share with them. But while Ben is distracted looking at his watch, she lunges into him, slamming against his hip and throwing him off balance enough to make him fall. And then she runs upstairs, with him following close behind, and she sees that the pasta water is boiling over. So yeah, this is the moment from the prologue, and I was really worried that this wasn't going to match the prologue like the last book I reviewed. If you know, you know. But yeah, so far it's matching. She grabs the knife, burns her hand on the pot. It veers off course a little bit when Ben gets the pantry doors open and tells Emma to put the knife down and think about how this looks, because in the prologue there's no conversation before the cops get there. But yeah, she says Ramirez will see right through him, and he quips that they have been friends for over 20 years and he knows about her erratic behavior and fixation on Alice. And the police knock, and Ben yells to come in and thanks them for getting there so quick and says, thank God they're here. He is so worried Alice might hurt herself. And Ramirez then tells her that she is under arrest for Alice's murder, and she says, again, you have the wrong person. So yeah, this part is just like the prologue. I'll give the author credit there. New evidence has come to light this evening, Ramirez says. The man who towed Alice's car found an object lodged underneath the brake pedal of the car, a metal object, a shim. It was handed to us yesterday, and today we received the lab results. Your fingerprints were all over it. So yeah, it's that damn metal bit she found in the storage facility that she decided to leave there. Yeah, she fell right into Ben's trap. Ben steps forward, his performance impeccable. I didn't want to believe it, he says, voice cracking with emotion. But when Lily told me she found Emma with Alice's phone, I started looking for answers. He runs a hand through his hair. Picture of a man grappling with terrible revelations. I found the box with the shim and the jewelry and Alice's will in the back of her closet and handed it in to Lucas. I wanted to know, and now I do. That's not possible, I whisper, but my protest sounds fake even in my own ears. Ben planted that evidence. He wrote those letters. He made me go find all those things so I would touch them. He set this all up. She also has Alice's phone, Ben adds, looking at Ramirez with pained eyes. I never found it though, but it should be here somewhere. Maybe her purse. I saw her holding it 2 days ago. She showed it to me upstairs and wouldn't give it to me when I asked her to. And when I confronted her about it in the basement, so there he goes, admitting there's a basement. Keep that in mind. She tried to attack me. Ben pulls up his sleeve, revealing a dark bruise forming on his forearm along with the scratches I gave him while escaping up the stairs. Ramirez nods to the officers. Mrs. Stone, place your hands behind your back, please. No, I back away, panic rising in my throat. This is insane. He's framing me. He led me to those things, helped me find them so I could touch them and leave fingerprints. He did this. He sent the letters leading me to those things. What letters? Ramirez asks. I open my mouth to speak, but no words come out. The letters are nothing more than ashes now upstairs in the fireplace. I have no proof, I have nothing. The officers advance, their expressions impassive. One reaches for his handcuffs. You have to believe me, I plead, looking directly at Ramirez. Ben killed Alice. He's been plotting this for a long time. The letters, the phone, everything was planted to make me look unstable, to set me up if I ever figured out what he did. Emma's been struggling with reality for some time now, Ben says, his voice dropping into clinical territory. Initially presenting with paranoid ideation focused on my first wife, progressing to delusions of persecution and conspiracy. The pattern is consistent with delusional disorder, possibly exacerbated by extreme stress. Perfect diagnosis, the perfect medical explanation from the perfect doctor. He's a pediatric surgeon. He's not any sort of psychological doctor. Not a therapist, not a psychologist. I just hate that he's framing this as like he's know-it-all of all medical things ever.
Doctors are know-it-alls.
But yeah, Emma asks them to check the handwriting on the letters in the basement, and Ramirez assures her that they will check all the evidence, nodding to the officers to do so. And they cuff her, and Ben plays the perfect act, saying they will get her the help she needs. And as they guide her to the door, she sees Lily standing at the stairs, pale with shock, and she thinks that she is going to look triumphant, but instead she looks confused or even afraid, and she tells the officers Emma didn't do anything wrong, was just looking for, and then Ben cuts Lily off, saying it's not the time, and Emma tells Ramirez where the phone is, asking him to search for answers. So yeah, Lily tried to defend her. The last thing I see as they lead me to the waiting police car is Lily's face, framed underneath the street lamp beside her father. Her expression is unreadable now, mask firmly back in place, but her eyes follow me, and in them I catch something that might be understanding or might be fear for what happens when you cross Benjamin Stone. The police car door closes with a final, definitive thud. Through the window, I watch my home, my prison, recede. Somewhere inside those walls, Alice's words wait to be found. Somewhere, the truth exists. But will anyone believe it, coming from the unstable second Mrs. Stone? Now, chapter 32. She has been in county jail for 2 months, and now they are in a courtroom. Your Honor, the state would like to enter into evidence Exhibit 14C. The prosecutor Sykes, with his perfectly tailored suit and calculated pauses, holds up the phone. This belongs to Alice Stone, found in the defendant's possession. The judge nods, and a court officer carries the phone to her. My public defender shifts beside me, papers rustling. Sam Torres, overworked and underprepared, assigned to me when Ben's accusations drained my bank accounts and froze my assets. Torres means well, but he is drowning in this case, outmatched by the state's resources and Ben's influence. This phone, Sykes continues, approaching the jury box, belonged to Alice Stone and wasn't with her when she pulled out of the water. He pauses, letting the words sink in. Tell me, how do you come to be in possession of a person's phone after they've died? And why didn't Alice have it with her in her car when she drove into the water? What kind of woman, person, in this day and age doesn't have their phone with them at all times? Unless someone took it from her, so she couldn't call for help. Unless this someone planned on killing her and destroying the phone afterwards. Unless it was her murderer who took it. My stomach knots. The twisting of truth is so complete, so perfect. I almost admire the artistry of Ben's frame. Almost. Objection, Torres mumbles, half rising. Speculation. Sustained, the judge replies, but the damage is done, the seed planted in 12 minds. Emma scans the courtroom, looking at everyone's faces, and she sees her sister Rachel, who has been her lifeline and advocate for these past months, which shout out to her because she is doing like all the research on the case too. She then sees Ramirez, who has a troubled expression. The state enters her internet search into evidence, which makes it seem like she was searching for methods that would make the car accident look accidental and settled on the shim. Her lawyer scribbles a note asking if she made these searches, and she shakes her head no, that Benjamin must have made them on her laptop when she wasn't looking. And guys, I'm so confused. Wouldn't these searches have had to been made before Alice's death? Not recently? Like, this makes no sense if they're trying to use this as evidence that Emma planned and killed Alice. Because the murder happened over 5 years ago. Anyway, the state will demonstrate, Sykes says, moving to a new exhibit, that Emma Stone
Is this Emma Stone?
had both motive and opportunity to tamper with Alice Stone's vehicle. As a former employee of Stone Advertising, she was often near her husband, Dr. Stone, and fell in love with him. We have many testimonies to this from people working working at the agency where Mrs. Stone Caldwell shared her feelings with them. She was jealous of Alice and wanted her husband and her life. She knew she could never compete with Alice, the mother of Dr. Stone's only child, so she had to get rid of her. My nails dig into my palms. This is all so twisted. I never competed with Alice, never even met her. Yes, I had an eye for Benjamin when I saw him. I thought he was attractive, but I never made a move, never even tried to. He was a married man. Even after she died, I kept my distance. He was the one who finally approached me, but no one knows this except him and me. Your Honor, Torres interjects. These employment statements are second-hand witnesses. They couldn't possibly have known what my client felt. Their authenticity is questionable at best. Your Honor, Sykes counters smoothly, several employees from Stone Advertising can testify to this. She was, and I quote one of them, smitten with Dr. Stone from the moment she laid her eyes on him. The judge peers at Torres over her glasses. I'll allow it, Counselor. We will hear from these witnesses later. Torres deflates slightly. Yes, Your Honor. Damn, like a girl can't have a crush now? They then present her fingertips that were found on the shim, saying that the shim was found by the man towing the car out of the water, but then disappeared before he could give it to the police? So you're telling me they were aware of the possible existence of a shim when the murder happened, and they still ruled it an accident? Okay, so yeah, Emma thinks she's fucked. But she sees Ramirez return to the courtroom, which for some reason gives her hope because he doesn't look away from her when she looks at him. I don't really understand, but okay. We go into chapter 33. Now, in a consultation room, Rachel sits across from Emma telling her that she is doing great, though her public defender is useless. Emma nods that she agrees, but Rachel has been pulling 16-hour days on this and she found some stuff. 3 women from Ben's med school days that won't go on record because they are terrified, but describe the same behavior of love bombing, same cheesy lines, then isolation, subtle at first, then gaslighting. One woman said she would find her car keys in places she never put them, and credit card charges for places she never had visited, and Ben suggested she should see a neurologist for her memory, and of course the results were normal, but he had already planted the seeds with her family about her concerning memory issues, and she still has issues with this 15 years later. They're like, I don't know what good this will do if none of them will go on record. Did any of them report him? One tried. Campus police took a report about items missing from her apartment. 2 days later, the items reappeared. She was warned about filing false reports. Rachel reaches into her folder again. There's more. I've hired a PI. Rachel, you can't afford. Don't worry about that. She waves off my concern. PI has been tracking down former Harbor Heights neighbors and colleagues who knew Alice, people not connected to the Stone family money or influence. Hope flickers, fragile as a candle flame. And 3 neighbors reported hearing arguments. One saw Alice with a bruise she tried to hide with makeup, and a former coworker at the gallery, not currently employed there, remembers Alice becoming increasingly withdrawn in the months before her death, said she jumped at loud noises, checked her phone constantly. Classic signs of abuse. Rachel's told me this. I still can't believe I trusted Ben over my own sister. Me neither, girl. She was right. She did meet Alice. She sees men like him all the time at the shelter. I should have believed her. But what good does this do me now? Will they testify? My voice cracks on the question. Rachel's expression tightens. We're working on it. The PI is building trust, gathering statements. It's delicate. I lean back, the brief flame of hope guttering. It won't be enough, not against the evidence they have. I lower my voice, though we're alone. And Lily's testimony tomorrow will seal it. She's been building the case against me for months, Rachel. The troubled stepmother obsessed with her father's first wife. We don't know what Lily will say, Rachel counters, but I can see the worry behind her reassurance. I do. I've lived with her. She hates me. She's her father's daughter. The words taste bitter. Despite everything, I still feel protective of Lily, another victim in Ben's perfect poisonous family. I really don't think she's giving Lily enough credit here. She did defend her as she was getting arrested. And Rachel goes on to say that them saying that Emma engineered the whole thing and then tried to blame Ben makes no sense, because why would she frame him and then keep the evidence that incriminates her? And I agree, Rachel. This whole case makes no sense. Emma says if only they had found the stuff in the basement before Ben cleared it out, and we find out later that they couldn't find the basement at all, which makes no sense because Ben, Lily, everyone has confirmed that there's a basement to Ramirez, but yet, oh, we couldn't find it. So that you don't think that makes Ben look questionable at all? Anyway, Rachel says that they are pushing for another search, that the PA found a contractor who renovated and installed the hidden pantry door 10 years ago with Ben's supervision, and he wouldn't allow photos or plans. So yeah, I understand that the police never found the secret entrance to the basement, but couldn't Emma tell them how to open it? Well, whatever way you look at this, it doesn't make sense. It's dumb. It's dumb. But yeah, a guard tells them that their time is up and leads her back to her cell, and she's thinking about how Lily's testimony will be the final nail in her coffin. And she's sitting in her cell when Ramirez enters, saying that he is there unofficially, and he admits that something about the case does not add up, that there are inconsistencies. Girl, you're telling me. The letters you received, he continues after a moment, the ones supposedly from Alice, you claimed Ben wrote them? He did. I found drafts in his handwriting in that hidden basement room. We found no trace of them or the room when we searched the house. Ramirez's tone isn't accusatory, just stating facts. Because it's a hidden entrance. I told you that during my initial interview. The frustration rises again, that helpless feeling of shouting truth into a void. Ramirez nods slowly. Here's one thing that's bothering me. Those letters mention Mac's Auto Shop specifically. If Ben wrote them to frame you, how would he know you'd go investigate the shop? Why plant that specific seed? The question catches me off guard. I've wondered the same thing countless times during sleepless nights in my cell. I don't know, maybe he mentioned it in conversation first, primed me to be interested, or maybe he just knew I was curious enough to follow any lead. He doesn't confirm or deny, just shifts to another question. Tell me about finding the hidden room, everything you remember. Okay, now they're calling it a hidden room, but it's just the basement. Like, I think that was the only entrance to the basement. Guys, I'm so confused. But she recounts the events to him. What else was in the room? He presses. A folder labeled Emma Instability Documentation, photos of me looking upset, confused, afraid, all taken without my knowledge. My daily schedule, notes about when I was alone in the house. I swallow hard against the rising nausea. He was building a case, detective, creating a narrative, making sure no one would believe me. I figured he knew that the TikToker Mir Patel and her helpers were building a case against him, that they were closing in on him, and he needed a plan to get out of it. He needed a scapegoat. Me. That's so dumb. It's so dumb. Ramirez is silent for a long moment, processing. When he speaks again, his voice has changed. Less the detective interviewing a suspect, more the human being grappling with an uncomfortable truth. I've requested the original brake components from Alice's car for re-examination. My heart skips. They still exist? Preserved in evidence storage, standard procedure for vehicle fatalities, even those ruled accidental. He shifts his weight again. The pieces click together in my mind like a terrible puzzle. Ben must have known Alice spoke to Rachel. He would have calculated that the police could find the necklace, access the SD card without needing a password, a perfect trial of evidence leading straight to him, the actual killer. That's when he began planning his way out, to make everything point to me. Hope flutters in my chest, fragile and frightening. Why now? Why are you doing this? Ramirez meets my eyes directly for the first time. I've known Ben for years, attended his wedding to Alice, coached Lily's soccer team for a season. I believed him when he identified Alice's body. Believed him when he expressed concern about your mental state. I wait, sensing there's more. But I've also seen how evidence can be manipulated. His voice drops even lower. How a careful person can construct a narrative that fits the facts while distorting the truth. You think that's what Ben did? I think, he says carefully, that a man willing to report his wife as mentally unstable might be capable of other deceptions. He checks his watch. I need to go. The guard will be back soon for his rounds. As he moves toward the door, I find my voice again. Detective, if you find something, evidence that supports my story, will it be enough? Ramirez pauses, hand raised to signal the guard. Truth has weight, Mrs. Stone, even against money and power. He doesn't smile, doesn't offer false reassurance, but truth needs evidence. And right now, all the evidence points to you. And we go into chapter 34. We're getting there, guys. As she's being moved to another consultation room the next day, she sees Lily sitting alone in the witness prep room, and she can't help but feel bad because she is just a child in Ben's web. She hears the prosecutor say that they need her to describe her obsession with her mother and erratic behavior, which Lily looks uncertain about. Then she hears another voice in the hallway, her public defender, Torres, saying it could work in our favor if she cracks on the stand. Emma is thinking that this is not going to happen, but then looks back at her memories with Lily, where it seems like she was warming up to Emma, and she wonders if she believes Ben's lies or has known the truth all along and was forced to play a role in his performance. Prosecutor's voice rises again, clearer now, as someone shifts position inside the room, widening the gap in the doorway. Need you to be absolutely clear about finding her with your mother's phone. Lily lifts her head fully now, and I can see her face in profile. Her eyes are red-rimmed, her bottom lip caught between her teeth. There's a tension in her expression. I recognize the look she gets when she's being pushed to do something that conflicts with her internal sense of right. I know what I saw, she says, her voice carrying just enough for me to catch it. Not defiant, not compliant, ambiguous. The guard ushers her on, and they guide her to her eternity, and then in the courtroom, Lily settles into the witness stand. Prosecutor asks her when she first noticed her stepmother's erratic behavior regarding Alice, and she says it started a few weeks after they got married, asking what her habits were, what she enjoyed. She said at first these questions seemed normal, but got more frequent and specific when she started asking about her routines, medications, if she argued with her dad. The prosecutor asks her if she ever found her going through her mother's belongings, and she falters, saying, well, she was interested in her mom, asking questions. And she confirms she saw Emma with a phone that looked like her mother's, and he asks if Emma ever expressed any hatred towards her mother, and Lily immediately says no. The prosecutor's frown deepens. This is not the testimony he prepared, not the final nail in my coffin he promised the jury in his opening statement. Did you ever witness Emma threaten your father, show aggression toward him? Lily's eyes flick up again, this time toward me. Our gazes look across the courtroom. Something passes between us, not quite understanding, but recognition. Two people caught in Ben's web, one still tangled, one beginning to break free. No, another firm denial. Emma was never aggressive. The prosecutor's frustration is palpable now. He glances toward Ben, whose face has gone carefully blank, the perfect mask slipping just enough to reveal the calculation beneath. Lily, the prosecutor says, his tone hardening slightly, let me remind you that you're under oath. Your previous statements to the police describe Emma as increasingly unstable and obsessed with your mother's death. Were those statements accurate? Lily's hand trembles visibly. She looks at Ben again, longer this time, then at me, then down at her trembling hands. Her voice cracked. She takes a deep breath, steadying herself. When she looks up, something has changed in her expression. A resolution, a clearing. I need to tell the truth. The words fall into the silent courtroom like stones into still water, sending ripples of tension through the gallery. Prosecutor freezes, pen hovering above his notepad. Lily, he says carefully, you're telling the truth. You're under oath. No, her voice grows stronger, steadier. I've been telling you my father's truth, not mine. A murmur sweeps through the courtroom like wind through dry leaves. The judge leans forward. Ben's posture stiffens, his expression hardening into something I recognize with a visceral fear, the look that preceded his worst moments of rage. Your Honor, the prosecutor says quickly, may we approach? But Lily isn't finished. My father told me what to say, about Emma, about my mother's phone, about everything. Her words tumble out faster now, as if she fears being stopped. He made me practice my statements, said it was to protect our family, but I need to tell what really happened. The gallery erupts in whispers. The judge bangs her gavel once, twice. Order. Counsel approach the bench immediately. As Sykes and Torres hurry forward, I sit frozen in disbelief. Lily's eyes meet mine again across the courtroom chaos, terrified but somehow lighter, as if a great weight has lifted from her slight shoulders. In the back of the courtroom, movement catches my eye. Mears is standing, phone to his ear, speaking urgently. Our eyes meet briefly before he slips out the side door, his expression transformed by purposeful intensity. Torres returns to our table, leaning close to whisper into my ear. The judge has called a recess. Lily's going to be questioned in chambers with the child advocate present. His voice contains something I haven't heard before, hope. This changes everything, Emma. As court officers move to escort Lily from the stand, she stands straighter, taller. Ben rises from his seat, one hand outstretched toward his daughter. Lily, he calls, his voice carrying that perfect note of fatherly concern. Sweetheart, you're confused. Let me help you. Lily steps back, away from his reach. No, Dad. Two simple words, spoken with quiet certainty. Not anymore. The bailiff leads her away through a side door as Ben sinks back into his seat, mask finally slipping to reveal naked fury beneath. He doesn't look at me, but I feel his rage radiating across the courtroom like heat from a fire. Rachel squeezes my shoulder from behind. Ramirez just left to request a search warrant, she whispers, based on Lily's statement about being coached. He's going back to the house. Back to the Morrison estate. Back to the pantry with its hidden door, back to whatever evidence might have been missed in his haste to clear out his secret room. As the guards come to lead me back to holding, I feel something crack open inside my chest. Not quite hope, not after so many disappointments, but possibility. Lily broke free from Ben's control, spoke her truth despite his manipulation, despite his power over her. The truth has a voice now, and maybe, just maybe, it will be loud enough to drown out Ben's perfect lies. We go into chapter 35. It's the third day of trial, and Lily has agreed to testify again, full testimony with no child advocate restricting questions. In fact, she is the one who requested to continue, and Lily takes the stand again. Yesterday, you made some statements that contradicted your prior testimony to the police. Have you had time to reflect on those statements? Yes, her voice is small but steady. And would you like to clarify anything about your previous testimony? Torres tenses beside me, pen poised over his legal pad. Here it is, the moment Sykes tries to pull her back into Ben's narrative. I want to tell the whole truth. Lily's eyes lift, scanning the courtroom before landing on her father. First direct look since she entered. Something passes between them. Challenge from her. Threat from him. She turns away first, gaze dropping to her hands. I need to explain my relationship with Emma. Syke frowns slightly, but nods. Please do. When my father married Emma, I hated her. The words come out flat, emotionless, not because she did anything wrong, because she wasn't my mom. I feel a pang in my chest, sharp and sudden. Despite everything, her pain still reaches me. I tried to make her life difficult, Lily continues. I sabotaged things around the house and blamed her. I reported private conversations to my dad out of context. I looked for ways to make her seem unstable. I even did stuff at her work, at my grandparents' agency, to make her look bad. Spread rumors and removed important papers and changed numbers on her computer before an important presentation. Sykes' expression tightens. This isn't the testimony he expected. Mrs. Stone, are you saying you lied in your police statements? Not completely. I just twisted things. Her voice wavers slightly. When Emma started finding things, my mom's phone especially, I told my dad right away. I thought she was the problem. I thought if I could prove it, things would go back to how they were before. Just me and Dad. The jury shifts in their seats, several members leaning forward. So you admit to manipulating situations to make Emma appear unstable? Syke asks, his tone sharpening as he realizes he's losing control of his star witness. Yes, Lily meets his gaze directly, but then I saw something that changed everything. The courtroom falls silent. Even the usual shuffling of papers and clearing of throats ceases. Everyone holds their breath, waiting. What did you see, Lily? Torres calls out, unable to contain himself. Objection, Syke snaps. Counsel is not conducting cross-examination. Sustained, the judge fixes Torres with a stern look. Mr. Torres, wait your turn. Lily continues before Sykes can form his next question. I recorded a video of them, of Emma and my dad, in the basement. My pulse jumps, thudding so loudly in my ears I almost can't hear Sykes' next words. A video? When was this taken? The night Emma was arrested. Lily's hands twist together in her lap. I've been recording things for weeks. To catch Emma doing something. Prove to Dad she was bad for us. Tremor runs through me. Weeks of surveillance. Weeks of a child watching, recording, waiting to catch me in some imagined transgression. But instead she caught her father. I used my phone, Lily continues, her voice dropping, to record them. Sykes paces now, thrown off balance by this revelation. And what exactly did these recordings capture? My dad, Lily's voice cracks, tears welling in her eyes, saying things, doing things, things that proved Emma was telling the truth all along. I can't breathe, can't move. The room seems to tilt around me as Lily's words sink in. Evidence, real, concrete evidence beyond testimony and conjecture, something Ben couldn't manipulate or destroy. I thought Emma was the problem. Lily's voice breaks completely now, tears spilling down her cheeks. I wanted to prove it to Dad. The recording showed me who the real monster was. The gallery erupts in whispers. The judge doesn't bang her gavel, equally stunned by this turn. Ben's face transforms before my eyes. Perfect mask of concerned father crumbles, revealing something cold and calculating beneath. His jaw tightens, eyes narrowing to slits as he stares at his daughter. Not with hurt or betrayal, with fury, with the same expression he wore in the basement that night when I discovered his secrets. The look of a man who has just lost control of his perfect frame. So they wheel in a monitor to show the recordings. Lily watches the setup, her shoulders rigid under her blue dress. I have the videos on my phone, she says, her voice steadier now. I backed them up to my private cloud account too. Dad doesn't know about it. The first one I will show you was when my dad burned some letters in their bedroom fireplace. Lily's eyes looked to Ben, then away. The second was the night Emma was arrested. I heard shouting from the basement and walked down the stairwell, recording them. Torres is on his feet before Sykes can continue. Your Honor, the defense requests permission to play these recordings for the court immediately. They contain exculpatory evidence directly relevant to these proceedings. Objection, Sykes nearly shouts. These recordings haven't been authenticated or submitted during discovery. We have no way to verify. They haven't been altered. The judge turns to Lily. Mrs. Stone, have you edited or altered these recordings in any way? No, Your Honor. Lily's voice is clear, confident it for the first time. They're the original files with timestamps. I can show the metadata. So the judge lets them play the videos. They played the first one, which shows what happened with the letters and burning them, and then showed the second one, which was the struggle in the basement. So yeah, they definitely prove that he's guilty. As the video continues playing our physical struggle, Ben rises from his seat across the courtroom. "This is fabrication," he shouts, pointing at the screen. "That's not me. Those aren't my words." "Ordered." The judge slams her gavel. "Dr. Stone, sit down immediately." But Ben is beyond control now, his perfect mask shattered completely. "My daughter has been manipulated. This recording has been doctored." "Bailiff," the judge calls, banging her gavel again. On screen, the recording captures my desperate attempt to escape up the basement stairs, Ben's pursuit, his hand grabbing my wrist with clinical precision. "You need help, Emma. You're not well." The courtroom erupts in chaos as Ben continues shouting objections. Through the commotion, I see Detective Ramirez moving from the back of the room, his purposeful stride carrying him toward Ben. His hand moves to his belt where his handcuffs hang in silent promise. The video reaches its climax. Ben's cold statement as he pins me to the basement floor. "You can't leave, Emma. Not with what you know now." The screen goes black, but the confession echoes in stunned silence that follows. One heartbeat. Two. Then chaos erupts like a dam break. Ben lunges to his feet, his face contorted beyond recognition. No longer the composed surgeon, the grieving widow, or the concerned father. Just raw, exposed rage as he lunges toward the witness stand. "You ungrateful little..." Words tear from his throat, savage and unfinished, as two court officers move efficiently, intercepting him before he can reach Lily. She flinches but doesn't run, watching her father struggle against the officer's grip, wide, wounded eyes. The girl who spent years worshipping him and molding herself to his expectations, now witnessing the monster beneath the mask in full public view. "Order! Order in my court!" The judge's gavel pounds a frantic rhythm, barely audible above the gallery's uproar. Reporters scramble towards the doors, phones clutched in white-knuckled grips. The jury stares, transfixed by the spectacle of Benjamin Stone's unraveling. Ben thrashes against restraint, surgeon's hands curled into claws. "She's lying. The recording is fake. This is a conspiracy against me." Each desperate claim lands with hollow impotence against the weight of his recorded confession. Robert and Margaret have retreated to the far end of their bench, faces ashen with shock or perhaps finally recognition of their son's true nature. Ramirez reaches Ben's side, handcuffs already unclipped from his belt. His movements are deliberate, almost ceremonial, as he steps between the court officers. "Benjamin Stone," he announces, voice carrying through the chaos with official finality. "You are under the arrest for murder of Alice Graham Stone and the attempted framing of Emma Caldwell." I'm sorry if that got really mumbly. My jaw is trying to lock as I have some TMJ and I've been talking for like 4 hours now. So I did my best to speak clearly, but my mouth is not cooperating. I'm sorry. We're almost done though. Ben struggles as they arrest him, telling Ramirez that he knows him, that he saves children's lives. And Emma watches as his mask slips away and she cries with the relief of vindication. The judge calls a recess and orders counsels from both sides to her chamber, and Emma looks at Lily as she leaves the stand, and there's a moment of recognition where they look at each other and realize that they are two women broken by the same man, and Lily mouths that she is sorry. Then Emma looks at Ben as he is pulled out of the room and his eyes burn with hatred and fear, the fear she lived with for months. Torres tells her that the case is dismissed and that she is free, and she is relieved to finally be free of Ben, and we go into chapter 36. She pulls up to a house that she notes is our house, not Ben's, 3 months after the trial ended and 2 weeks since they moved in. The "we" is her and Lily, but she doesn't say that at first. But anyway, she notes that they picked the house together, a stucco house with tons of windows and an open floor plan, and Lily appears coming down the stairs with a backpack and her therapy journal, and her hair is in a messy bun with ripped jeans and a band t-shirt that she wouldn't have been caught dead in 3 months ago. Lily tells her that she made coffee, and Emma says she got them fresh donuts, and they now go to therapy together once a month, and Lily goes alone twice a week and Emma goes alone once a week. And Lily wants to go to Stanford for photography, and her teacher thinks that she should submit her art portfolio to a youth exhibition in Tampa. So yeah, everything is going great with them. They are rebuilding or building their relationship in the first place. So Lily leaves for school and Emma heads to work. Yes, she remained at Stone Advertising because Robert gave her an apology and a promotion to creative director with a corner office. And at her office, Robert appears to tell her that Hartman had their best quarter in years thanks to her, and that they want her to lead a team for an expansion. And then he asks if Lily and her will join them for dinner next month when they are ready, and she says she will ask Lily since she is setting her own boundaries. He says of course, just let him know, and leaves. Outside my office, the creative department hums with energy. Art directors huddled over tablets, copywriters debating headline options, account managers striding purposefully between meetings. I used to throw myself into this vortex, working 14-hour days, sacrificing sleep and health for the next great concept, the next nod of approval from Robert. But not anymore. My calendar is color-coded now. Yellow blocks for client meetings, blue for creative development, green for therapy, individual and joint sessions with Lily, red for non-negotiable personal time. The system keeps me anchored when old habits surface, the urge to prove my worth through martyrdom, to seek validation through exhaustion. I turn back to my computer, reviewing presentation slides for tomorrow's pitch. My work is better now, sharp, more honest. Trauma stripped away pretense, left me with clarity I never had before. I see through marketing bullshit faster, cut to authentic stories that resonate because they're true. So yeah, everything's going great now. She's about to head to therapy with Lily, have a new home, a great relationship now. So why is there another chapter? They get home after therapy and Lily says she's gonna start dinner, so Emma says she's gonna grab the mail. There's gonna be another damn letter, isn't there? Yeah, there is one. There is the same cream-colored envelope addressed to her with Alice's handwriting. Do I open this? Do I invite whatever chaos this letter contains into our healing sanctuary? Dr. Foster's voice echoes in my memory from last week's session. Recovery isn't linear. Expect triggers, expect setbacks. They don't erase your progress. But this isn't just a trigger. This is active disruption. Someone, not Alice, it can't be Alice, using her handwriting to reach into our new life and pull us backward. Ben? Impossible. He's in maximum security, denied all communication between his lawyers, Robert or Margaret. They've kept respectful distance, allowing Lily to set the pace of reconnection. Someone else entirely with unknown motives. Through the window, I watch Lily measuring rice into the cooker, headphones on, swaying slightly to music only she can hear. The normalcy of the scene squeezes my heart. We fought so hard for this. Do I risk it all by acknowledging this intrusion? But secrets fester. I learned that lesson through blood and tears, hiding this letter, pretending it doesn't exist. That's the first step back into darkness, into doubt, into the gaslighting labyrinth I barely escaped. My hands tremble slightly as I slide my finger under the seal, paper cutting into my skin, a paper cut, small, sharp pain that draws a drop of blood. I smear it with my thumb, leaving a faint rust-colored print on the envelope's corner. Inside is a single sheet of paper, folded in thirds, the same cream stationery. I open it slowly, my breath catching as I see more of that familiar handwriting filling the page. The first line leaps out, printed in slightly larger letters than the rest. Dear Emma, some secrets refuse to stay buried. My blood turns to ice water in my veins. I scan the rest of the page, phrases jumping out in horrible, disjointed fragments. Not who you think I am. Ben was right about one thing. Lily doesn't know the whole truth. Meet me if you want answers. At the bottom, an address in Crystal River, the same town where Alice supposedly drove off the bridge. There's a date and time, tomorrow, 8 p.m. And she wonders who this could be since Ben is in jail and Alice is dead, and she has to decide if she is going to meet this person tomorrow. Dear Emma, some secrets refuse to stay buried. Well, maybe they should stay buried, I think to myself, then throw the letter in the trash can before grabbing Lily's hand in mine and closing the door behind me. So it seems like she's not this person. But there's a sequel, so she probably will.
You're joking me, right?
The little preview for the sequel says she receives a letter that says, to his ex-wife, you thought he killed me, but the person you should fear most is still inside your home. So is what, this whole book going to be her thinking that Lily is guilty again? Let's just go ahead and get into my thoughts on the book. Was it the worst in the world? No. Was it great? Also no. It really dragged, to be honest. It kind of felt like it just went on in a circle for a while. Like she would receive a letter, doubt Ben, but then decide to trust him. It was just super predictable. Like the whole time you know it's gonna be Ben. The first letter even reveals it, and I tried to think of things that could happen outside of the box, but ultimately the first letter, like I said, revealed the truth from the very beginning. Also, I'm just not a huge fan of the last like 20% of the book taking place in court. It was really boring up until Lily's videos, and Emma just has no survival instincts either, like to a point where it just felt unrealistic. She had an abusive dad. She had an abusive ex-boyfriend. Her sister works with domestic violence victims and she didn't heed her sister's warnings after her sister helped her escape those situations. Like, it's hard to believe. And overall, this whole thing just felt super unoriginal. I have read the same premise time and time again, and that's okay. Premises and plots can be done, have been done in books over and over again, but there was nothing that made this one special. It read like tons of other books I read, and yeah, my biggest takeaway from the book is that Emma was just the dumbest girl ever for not listening to her sister and choosing a man over her. That just like obviously didn't work out for her in the past, so I don't know why she wouldn't heed her sister's warnings now. I don't know, guys. This was just meh to me, and I'm getting more flashbacks from the Frida book I just read, which I thought this would be a reprieve from, because some of the parts of the book, like the writing itself, was just super similar to Frida. The way the chapters were set up, the prologue and the epilogue was basically like Frida coded, so it was just super similar, and I wouldn't be surprised if this was just her under a different pen name, honestly. But yeah, I don't really have much more to give besides what I already said in that. Basically, the whole plot kind of just doesn't make sense, but there is a sequel, and if you guys are interested in reviewing that, please comment down below and let me know, because I will do it for you guys. I will. I don't know what else could be said in the sequel, but we can see if you guys are interested. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all the support, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.